Welcome to our incredible stadium here in Bern. It's the 2023 IFSC World Championships. We've done the boulder individual competitions, and now it's time to turn our attention to the giant lead wall that dominates the arena. My name is Matt Groob. I'm joined once again, and as always, through this World Champs by Shauna Coxey. Shauna, are you excited to be watching this lead comp here this morning?
Of course I am. I mean, look at those routes. They look incredible. The route setters have done such an amazing job of making the wall look so fascinating, really curious in many places, these routes. The athletes were zooming around the stage trying to read them. And yeah, I can't wait to see what we have in store.
Yeah, me too. The women's route especially is this complicated beast of a thing. Multiple stacked volumes, holds, blockers, it's all going on. And some particularly tricky starts to this route, which is a little bit unusual for lead climbing comps. Let's look at the start list. This is the men's top 26 or 27 for the men because of draws. Marcello Bombardi will climb by himself to start off with, and then he will leave, and we'll have two climbers at the same time. Some big names in here, Shauna. Stefano Ghisolfi down at the bottom. Good to see him climbing.
Definitely, yeah. And Tomoa Narasaki, someone who would have expected to see in the boulder final, and we didn't. He was in the semi-finals though, but these athletes did have a rest day yesterday, so those who were doing boulder had a rest day when the women were climbing in semi-finals of boulder and finals yesterday.
Yeah, it's an intense schedule, especially for the women, as you say. And then we go down Jesse Gruber, a man who never seems to let go. Toby Roberts, he needs to have a good performance here today. Sasha Lehmann, so popular, and wait for the crowd reaction for that. And then again, Sarato down at the top spot. Impressive in boulder and, of course, impressive in lead.
Yeah, also Sam Avazu, his sister, competing in boulder last night, which is really cool to see. Both brother and sister doing incredibly well in this competition.
And then we turn our attention to the women. Stasha Gejo, great to see her in a semi-final. She needs some points today. Hélène Janicot down in qualifying in 8th last for that. Martina Demmel, what a season she is having as well. Incredible from here.
Also, Jae Kim, who is the strongest mom in the competition. I'm going to point that out right now. It's great to see her in the semi-final. And some of these athletes are hoping to compete in the lead and boulder event that we've got to come still. The performances today will count towards that. So it's not just about making finals. It's not just about the fact that there are Olympic tickets on the line. All of these points matter both for this event, getting to the lead and boulder at the end of this, and also points towards the Olympic selection coming next year. So it's a crucial event in many ways.
Yeah, there's so much going on over this week here in Bern. That is our wall. Starts off at 10 degrees down at the bottom, 40 degrees in the middle, and then the head wall 15 degrees overhanging, so kicking back a little bit, but the route's really stepping up, especially the women's on the right. Complicated sections towards the top, and a big mantle style press to finish things off. And we can see now scanning up the route from our crane cam. And Shauna, we talked about the beginning of the route, and especially for the men, it's not a straightforward start for them. For the men and the women, actually. We've chatted through both of these routes with the route setters and stood underneath that wall ourselves, looked up. It's high, it's long, there's a lot of moves, but you would expect with climbs like that are so long and are so kind of so much weaving around the wall, that the first bit would be a bit of a given. They kind of get them going and let them kind of find their flow. They have not done that with these routes. The word the setters used to describe the starts of these routes was insecure. So you've got pretty good handholds, but the feet point a bit of an awkward direction. You're not comfortable at any point. You just need to get going, get moving. They haven't been kind and given you kind of the nice friendly moves to start. It's awkward from the get-go. Yeah, the second they step off the mats, they're going to have to try hard. And the routes, as you can see, weave around. They curve through the wall. So although it's 15 or so meters tall, the routes themselves much longer because of the amount of climbing in them. And then for the men, that top hold, it's blind for the athletes. So the jump into that big pocket up there is going to be a hard one and difficult to see from the mats where they were observing them. Yeah, so the athletes have done that observation. They get their observation period to look at the route. They can often come out with binoculars. They are trying to gather as much information as possible. In lead competitions, you get one attempt, which is hard to imagine, I think, if you're
if you're not a competition climber, just only one attempt and then that route is gone forever. So they need to get as much information from the ground as possible. There are athletes who know each other well here, but we've also got athletes who are quite new to this environment. I expect, having practiced that flash attempt, but with gathering the information. It's different to qualification here because in qualification they get a demo video and they are allowed to watch each other. But in lead semi-finals, they'll be in isolation, come out for their observation, and then back to isolation. They have no idea whereabouts the other athletes get unless they can kind of get a feel from the crowd's reaction.
Absolutely. Well, that's what they've got ahead of them. We've got a little bit of a delay in proceedings, a slight technical incident, one of the judges' videos. So a brief pause here, and it gives us an opportunity to check out this wall. And that is the top of it there. The sponsors' logos hanging. And the crowd, I mean, it keeps building here in the arena. And there's this wonderful moment where we go from the arena being empty, you know, just with volunteers, staff and athletes. They open the doors and people are running through.
Full sprints.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Yeah,
everyone wants to get those hot seats, you know, right at the front, be in the action. The atmosphere has been building throughout this competition, and we've been watching the boulder, some incredible moments throughout the boulder semis and finals. I'll try not to give any spoilers away. It's so
it's
hard
difficult
not
to. Isn't it? I know.
Some of my favorite moments in competition climbing that I've ever witnessed, and the lead wall's kind of been sat there looming in the lights, you know, in the background, and now all the focus has shifted. We've obviously got speed coming and power climbing too, so there's still so much more to go with this competition, but today the focus is all on the lead wall.
Absolutely is. But let's just briefly talk about boulder, and as you said, no spoilers. However, there are women climbing in this lead semi-final who climbed last night. Now, we know it's part of the game, but it is tough for the athletes in terms of skin, fatigue. It's a big ask for some of them.
It sure is. I was on my way here earlier this morning. I was walking alongside competing in semi-finals and boulder finals last night. She was looking fresh. She didn't seem to be too phased. But I was thinking how hard that must be. I hope she got a great rest, good sleep last night, and I'm sure it's something she's trained. These athletes will train so insanely hard. Training for competition climbing, having been there myself, I used to train 9 days on, 1 day off and lead up to the Olympics. It was so intense. At that point, we were training 3 disciplines. So the athletes we're seeing today, most of them will be training boulder and lead if they're hoping to go for an Olympic ticket. But being able to do that, it's so demanding. In my opinion, climbing on rock is a lot easier. Being able to train for rock climbing and being specific. These athletes have to be ready for absolutely anything that's put in front of them. They have no control of what the boulders or the lead routes are going to be. They need to be prepared for all eventualities, physically, mentally, and they need to be so robust in order to take on whatever the route setters are throwing at them. And as we've seen in this competition, they're getting more and more inventive, the route setters. So those athletes need to be really ready for anything. Yeah,
exactly. I saw them spinning around while they were reading the routes, doing the air climbing that we're so used to seeing. And this might be a good opportunity to explain the rules for those of you who are new to lead climbing. The idea is pretty simple. You start at the bottom, you finish at the top. On the way, you have to clip all of those quick draws that are hanging down from the walls. They are to help to prevent the athlete from hitting the ground when they fall off. And every hold is worth a point, a numerical value, and you get a plus point for using that hold. So going towards the next one, center of gravity and mass towards the next hold, and your hands going towards it. You can't just be slapping up and falling backwards. You have to show intent. So that's the basics. We'll obviously go through more of them as we go. And Shauna, it's good to see hold blockers on all the bolts because you're not allowed to stand on those.
Yeah, so you can see the little covers that go over the top of where the quick draws are hanging down. The quick draws are the things that they're going to be putting the rope into, so you can see them here just dangling, the ones that aren't the holds on the wall. And then it's a great look here at the cover, the cap. That is no texture. The athletes are allowed to stand on that. It's not going to be very useful because it is very slippery. The reason they're there is because the athletes are not allowed to stand on the bolt that holds the quick draw in. You can see just here underneath that little cover, there's a bolt. If an athlete accidentally brushes that with their foot or purposely stands on it, they will be marked down, even if that happens right at the very beginning.
Yeah, and about being marked down, if you miss those quick draws, and we've seen it happen a couple of times, especially in Chamonix this year, if you miss a quick draw, you're going to be called down from the wall. So there is a lot that they have to be thinking about.
Exactly, these quick draws need to be clipped in order.
All right, so Marcello Bombardi from Italy is the first climber out. He will climb by himself because we have 27 men instead of 26 in the semi-final due to draws. So he will be by himself. And Marcello walks over, nods to the B-layer, and shout out to the B-layer team. This is, I think, one of the most stressful jobs on the circuit, is looking after these athletes.
Yeah, I don't envy their job.
Absolutely not. Now, this beginning section is intense for the men, and over-gripping could be a bit of a problem, so they need to relax, calm down.
Marcello seems to have had a great year. He's made every lead semi-final in the World Cups that he's entered, 3 of them, which is really consistent in a year where we're not seeing much consistency. So I hope he can show everything that everything that he wants to on this route. It sounds like the first section is precarious, quite awkward. You don't really find your flow. You can see here his body is under a lot of tension. But he's wanting to move through that as quickly as possible in order to stay as efficient as he can.
Yeah, and we watched him try to get an E-bar in down low, decide better of it. So it might be an indication of just how tricky this section is, but he's through it. And the route is split into colours for the men especially. Start with blue and then we move into this purple, so you have an idea of where we are.
Which I very much appreciate, so thank you to the route setters for that. It makes it a lot easier to talk about.
It really does, doesn't it? Because you sometimes just lose perspective of where the climber is on that wall.
From watching these competitions back home and sitting in the seats where the listeners are right now, it is sometimes so hard to gain perspective. This lead wall is incredibly steep. It's so high. You look at the climbers here, you can almost lose perspective, like you say. But these moves and these holds are hard, and the holds are terrible.
Marcello bumps into one of the jibs that's inside of the yellow dish. And this next section, lots of cross-through moves coming up.
Yeah, quite punchy climbing. You want to be really feisty on the movements, not taking your time too much like he isn't. We asked if there were any rest positions that aren't. Oh, we lose him just there. I'm not sure if he missed the hold or if his body just swung out a little too much. It looked like he went to the hold expecting it to be better. He seemed quite relaxed as he went into the movement and then suddenly had to tense up and fight to try and stay on. He's looking down at his hands. I think there was a big slip there for him.
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting beginning here for a lot of the athletes, maybe catching them unawares. And Marcello is breathing heavily. He didn't do his usual power screams that he tends to start to do when he's getting pumped. So yeah, I think you're right. Maybe just a bit of a mistake. Let's see this again. So he bumped up with the right.
Yeah, his hands just sliding right out. You could see his arms were quite straight. He wasn't bent. He wasn't strung into his back. Almost too relaxed, I think, on that move, maybe. It just was the insecurity in his hands, how he felt. He was looking at his hands when he came down. It's warm already in here. Definitely not as warm as it was last night for the Boulder finals. Much better conditions today. It's a lot cooler outside too, which makes a difference.
It does indeed. Okay, Lucia Tarkas from Slovenia comes onto the stage, and she'll be joined by Yufei Pan, of course, an Olympian from the previous Olympics. And Lucia just reminding herself here of the moves. As Shauna said at the beginning, the athletes read and observed the routes off camera. And in the finals, we'll show you that process. But semis, there's just too much going on. There's one of our B-layers coming over from the US tie. There is an absolute legend on the B-lay scene, this man.
It's interesting, someone once asked, do I ever think about who's belaying me in a World Cup? And I had never even considered it at that point. I always thanked the belayer. I would always check everything with them before going on. But I was asked, do they have to have qualifications? Do they need anything? And I didn't even know. But yeah, it was a surprise to me that I'd never considered it. Because normally if you're climbing in a gym, you're like, who's belaying me?
Yes.
They have got their life in my hands. But no, all of these belayers are absolutely incredible. And you trust that entirely.
Absolutely. And Ty is part of a team who is raising the standards of belaying. We're hoping to have a international standard at some point that's been worked on by
Yeah,
the
it's great
IFSC.
to hear that that's being worked on.
Now, for the first time we get to see the women's route, and similar to the men's, just a little bit uncomfortable for them. And she's about to get into a really special section.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the women move through this section. Lucia is a Slovenian athlete. We've got many Slovenian athletes in the semi-final. I expect she'll have read the route together with her fellow teammates. So that's going to have helped getting those ideas, being able to chat with Anya, I imagine.
Yeah, they were all together. It was fascinating. I love watching.
Bit of an awkward clip for Lucia here.
Yeah, she's trying to go behind, sort of between her leg and her arm. Gets it in, though. And yeah, there's a spin move coming up, and this is the move that all of the athletes were literally spinning on the spot whilst they were trying to work it out. Mattea head down towards the ground.
She's doing the exact sequence that the route setters intended. I'm sure they'll be really happy to see that. The pockets she's got her feet in, you're able to cam your feet in. They are really good, but not for your hands. They won't work for hands, but she's really making the most of them, camming her feet. So by camming, I mean putting her toe in, twisting in order to get it to lock in there, taking some weight off her hands and allowing her to have a little bit of a shake here.
Yeah, so she rests, having got through that powerful section. Yufei Pan is about to enter the part where Marcello fell. Hits the cut loose much better than Marcello did, and he brings his feet back into the wall.
When we read this route with the route setter, he was saying that this move, the Yufei Pan just stuck, it was a float move. So quite subtle, definitely a pop, had to be dynamic, and we saw Yufei make it work really well there.
Yeah,
but now having to fight.
He is, and he does swing down. Yeah, you can see it suddenly all kick in at the same time for him.
Yeah, it looked like he started to struggle. He left his body weight to the right, reaching to the pocket, not quite committing to hitting that and bringing his feet across, which meant that when he hit it, his right hand ripped because all of the weight was going through his right side.
All right, so Yufei comes down. We stick with Yoshiyuki. Awkward clips for some of these, especially when it's long like that, because when it's an extended draw, it swings around a bit more. It can be quite hard to clip it.
It really can, and something that I expect they will practice and they will be familiar with. But those draws, so the quick draws hanging straight down, just shows you how steep that wall is. You have to reach back often to clip them.
Yeah, and they tend to be extended to avoid rope drag through certain sections. She's really having to fight here. Small crimps coming up.
So there's a drop, kind of dropping down to the right here. It's not a simple section. It almost looked like she was going to try and go up high and go direct, but she's managed to make it work, figured out what the right sequence is here.
Yeah, she's got a heel in the big pocket and will take another moment to shake out.
The setters were hoping for quick shake positions as opposed to long rest positions. The climbers get 6 minutes to climb, so they can't spend a really long time resting, especially on routes like this that are so demanding because there's so many moves to go.
Yeah, there is a time limit, as Shauna says. We haven't got a clock on screen. We'll try to keep an eye on the time if it is a problem, but very rarely do we see timeouts happen, but it can happen. And some of the climbers later on, I'm thinking Jane Kim, for example, has a slightly slower style sometimes. And
on a route like this, there are so many moves. It's weaving around the wall. It's complicated. They're having to spend time figuring it out whilst they're there. It's not like they're able to jump on, have a go, try it, and then get back on again. They get this one attempt, and that is it.
Exactly. It's all to play for here.
That's why I prefer bouldering. You get to have another go.
Me too, but don't tell anyone.
Too much pressure. No, I'm kidding. Lead climbing is so amazing to watch. Oh, right hand blew there. You see it just fired off.
Yeah, and it shows how long this route is. I mean, she was under halfway through that thing, and a lot of moves, as you say. But her comp for now is done. She looks up at where she felt.
32 plus, so yeah. A good score for her. It just shows how many moves there are on this route.
It's crazy. And the audience as well. Someone posted a picture on Instagram last night showing the full audience, because where we're sat in the commentary box, you can't really see it. It's packed.
Interesting that she has been awarded the plus there. I wonder if that might change. She was reaching up with her arm, but her hips didn't move. I don't know if that'll be appealed potentially. Coaches can make appeals, both in favour and against other athletes, or in favour of their athletes usually. I don't expect a coach would make an appeal in favour of an athlete not on their team. Maybe, I'm not sure. I don't think I've ever seen that. But to be awarded the plus, so you'll get the point value of the hold that you're holding. To be awarded the plus, like you said earlier, has to be your centre of mass has to be moving towards the next hold.
Yeah, and the appeal thing is worth remembering, because on the app there is a new system where you can see the appeals. It's highlighted in yellow.
Her score's just been updated already, and she's got 32.
There we go. And we'll let you know if we find anything out about appeals, but remember that the results are provisional at this stage, and we finish the broadcast usually before everything's confirmed, so just be aware of that if you're watching. Right, Lynn van der Meer from the Netherlands comes out, determined look on her face. And for the men, Dohyun Lee, he was bouldering a couple of days ago. As you said, he had a rest day, so he should have recovered a little bit. Dohyun Lee, one of those with an eye on the boulder and lead. And Shauna has a rather useful list of who's starting to qualify for that boulder and lead. Top 20 athletes go through. It's a mathematical conundrum, that one, but we'll when we know definite things, we'll let you know at home. But I'm sure people have spreadsheets on the go trying to figure out all the possibilities.
Both of these athletes we've seen in lead semi-finals this year, so they'll be familiar with being out on that stage. It is a very different experience to qualification. Qualification is quite chaotic in lead, I would say. There's a lot going on, especially here. We saw 2 groups for both the men and the women, which is something we've not seen yet this year, I don't believe. I think the women have not yet had 2 groups. It just shows how many athletes we've had here.
Yeah, there are a lot. It's crazy. If it did it in 4 routes on this lead wall. And look at this from Dohyun Lee. He's got a no-hands rest. Great knee bar. We saw Marcello try to get that in, but not really manage it. But Dohyun's body position, really clever there.
Really clever, but also very early on in the route, did he need to shake and did he need to spend that time doing that? Is time going to become a factor? We don't know yet until he gets higher up. He's currently sitting in 7th in the combined. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to have this list, but I have it. So
we have it. The people love knowing.
No one knows where we are. We're hidden in the arena.
That's
they
very
can't
true.
come tell us off.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, he's currently after Boulder. He's sitting in 7th. That's obviously going to change after this lead round, but he'll be feeling pretty confident about making it into the Boulder and league that we've got to come.
Yeah, Dohyun on a bit of a roll at the moment. He's had a good season. He's got a gold medal in Boulder already. And Lynn Meer is quickly through, or starting through this no-foot section. She's a rotate her body around and get those cams in.
I'd say she's looking comfortable though. She's not camming her feet, she's just pushing against those holds above her. Looks like she doesn't even need to. Really nice straight arms resting. She's not overusing her muscles. The reason you want your arm nice and straight is so that you can kind of stay on the wall as efficiently as possible, which is what she's doing. I thought we'd see quite a lot of the women shaking at this point, because after here you're heading into quite a powerful, intense section.
Yeah, and Dohyun Lee is launching through really confidently. Clips above his head. Had to get that one in fast. No feet, and he'll look for the high heel and try to get a shake before hitting the next few purple holds and then into those big blue balls above.
Only our 3rd climber, but he does have the high point right now, and our first look at this next purple section.
Yeah, we will let you know the scores. There are so many athletes that we tend to put them on a little bit later, but do download that app if you want live scoring. It's up with the left hand towards the edge of the wall.
So quite basic through this purple section, not too much excitement going on here, just tiring them out enough for the blue section that's to come. As you saw there, he looked fatigued. He kind of looked like he knew he was off. He didn't go to the hold looking like he was going to hold it. It looked like he was going for the plus. Something athletes can do if they move their centre of mass towards that hold, they can actively gain the plus. Again, comp tactics is really, really important here.
Yeah, absolutely. All trying to get the scores, or squeeze the scores out of the routes.
Yeah, you've got to make that decision on the wall as well. Do you go to the hold? Are you playing the game? At that point, are you tired enough that you know you're not going to hold it? Are you looking for the plus? Are you looking to try and hold it? Because sometimes you can go to a hold to try and hold it and not get the plus because of the way your body moves. And sometimes you just have to throw your body towards the hold in order to get the plus. It is very tactical. It can sound a little bit like maybe the rules aren't right. This has been changing year on year for as long as I've been competing to get these rules as fair as possible. And everyone seems quite happy with where it's at right now.
Yeah, there's always that conversation. Did you go for it? Obviously, the athletes will err on the side that they did. The judges have to make that decision. And the judges get multiple camera angles to check these things. They got everything you're seeing, and they get extra angles, so they are on it. And Lynn is really having to fight now. The elbow's starting to go up.
So when her elbows start to raise, it means that she's probably starting to feel a pump in her forearm, starting to struggle. Those holds start to feel a lot worse. Fingers maybe start opening. She's using her hips, using her body. See, she's leaning right in with her hips to make as much weight go through her feet as possible, giving her arms as much help as she can.
And interesting, the difference in the men and women's. A lot of early falls from the men, whereas the women grind through this part, and she takes a fall down. A
strong performance from her.
Yeah, she's. Is that the high point? Yeah, she is the high point.
She's. I think she's matched Lucha's point. So they're both at 32 on the scores right now. 32 plus. Yeah, I thought that might be the case. So she was moving towards that next hold.
Yeah, we might be able to see a replay of that to demonstrate it, because it's a hard thing to understand. And in the heat of the moment, you see the athletes slapping towards the hold, it's hard to get whether they're going towards it or they're falling backwards.
So you see the foot swap here, and you'll see her hips move towards that hold. See, she was generating, her body was moving as she was pulling. It looked like she maybe knew she was fatigued. Her hips stayed quite far to the right. They weren't going to the left in order to get some compression between those two holds, but she was definitely convincingly moving towards that next hold, hence the plus that's been awarded.
There you go. Well, hopefully that's clear for you listening at home, because it's one of those rules. And we had our first 2 women, first 3 men, because of the 27 rather than 26, and Stefano Ghisolfi will be out next. He's picked and choose various competitions this year, hasn't been climbing that much, and in fact he's been concentrating a lot on real rock, so it's interesting to see what kind of form that man's in.
Definitely, and not doing the boulder and lead. He hasn't competed in the boulder here, so he's one of few athletes, I would say, that isn't focused on that. He's very, very focused on just this event. He'll be really happy to be in the semi-final, I expect.
Yeah, he will. He was working silence. He was working Burden of Dreams, the V17 boulder in Finland, so he's been on real rock a lot.
Interestingly, I'm sure I saw on his social media recently that he was more excited about boulder, so then to be here and not competing in boulder is interesting.
It is, yeah. He makes the clips down low, looking comfortable at the moment. Over gripping, very important. In fact, the route setter said to us that if the athletes try to show off, show how strong they are, and really just try to, pull all the holds off the wall, they might struggle in this section.
Yeah, definitely. So they want to be really delicate through this middle section, and then I think it's the middle section where there's an opportunity to get a bit of flair, to get a bit of showing off. They definitely don't want to be pulling too hard through this bottom section, that is for sure. But they also don't want to be showing that flair, and yeah, showing off was what they used. They don't want to be showing off.
Martina Demmel on the right. She's had a brilliant season so far, the German athlete. She's another one, pretty sure it's 9A outdoors she's climbed, and she's had a good season on plastic.
Really interestingly, so many of these athletes have climbed really hard outdoors, and often I'm not sure it translates so well into competition climbing because it's so different. It's such a different style. You can talk about all the different styles on rock, but ultimately you look at these routes, you don't get anything like this on rock. Maybe specific movements, but to have the style change, and that's when I'm talking about these athletes being ready for anything. They're going from tiny, teeny little crimps into pockets, into deep compression, onto slopers. I won't spoil what's to come on the head wall, but it's again very, very different to what we're seeing at the bottom of this route. So if they are able to climb hard on rock, it doesn't necessarily translate to good results indoors, and I think that's something that's quite hard to understand for some climbers because, if they climb 9A, 9B, why aren't they winning World Cups? Because you can't choose what you get in a World Cup.
No, exactly. It's a different game, isn't it? All right, Martina cams her feet nicely. She's looking okay. I'll have another shake out there. And Stefano is into the yellow section. He's going to drop down. He hasn't made the clip yet. He'll get into a better position to do that. Starts this sort of camper-style down climb.
Martina seems to have moved through this a lot faster potentially than other athletes, which is good to see. Maybe she'll have a bit more juice in her forearms when she gets there. Really great resting position, such a straight arm.
Now keep an eye on Stefano here because there was a clipping opportunity earlier. He hasn't taken it.
I think he's just realised that he's missed that clip. So maybe we'll see him reverse the climb in order to go back for it.
Yeah, so drama early on for Stefano. No, he's not. He's in a bit of a tricky position here because the route goes left away from the draw. Not
something we'd expect from Stefano. He's a really experienced lead climber, an experienced competition climber.
Oh, he's having to literally reclimb the route backwards.
An unfortunate mistake for him. This is really going to be costing him. You can see him fighting. These moves are not designed to be reversed.
They are not. Stefano in trouble then early on. And he does fall, unlucky for Steph.
Pretty much had to let go. Oh, we just lose Martina there as well. She looked a little bit lost potentially, like she maybe got the sequence wrong.
Ah, look at Stefano. He wanders over to try to check it out. Yeah, you're right. Someone that experienced, that is not what we'd expect from him. So unlucky.
An unfortunate mistake, currently sitting in second with a long, long way to go.
And that could be the end of his competition. Signs in the audience. Stasha's got one, I can see. And then at the back, those volunteers. We will be filming with them after this semi-final. I'm excited to do that.
They're getting much more efficient in spelling out their names.
We're going to be testing them.
Okay.
You have to come
Timer,
and watch.
a clock.
Exactly that, yeah.
Is this going to be on the Climbing Daily?
Well, yeah, the World Climbing Club, we're calling it. It's on YouTube. You can check out all the highlights. We've got interviews, chats with Shauna, for example. And that's a daily show coming out around about midnight every day.
World Climbing Club.
World Climbing Club. All right, Mattea Pötzi comes on from Austria, immediately air climbing as she enters the stage.
And such focus in her eyes there.
Yeah, she's in a relaxed mood, almost dancing there as she checks out the routes. And then in the background, that's Martin Stranik.
I've also been asked previously if you're allowed to tie your own knot. So you do tie your own knot, but you have to tie a figure of 8.
Yeah, and that's why we sometimes see the athletes sort of fighting to undo it, because it locks up quite hard.
It does. I've often asked a belayer to undo my knot for me when you're so pumped and you've given everything and your knot's locked up after a fall. Yeah, it's kind of awkward when you're on stage and trying to undo it for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm like, can someone please do this for me?
Martin Stranik is he's a dad too. He's got twins. And
hats off to anyone with twins.
Yes, absolutely. Can't imagine having one, let alone 2.
Or parents and carers generally.
So Martin is muscling his way through the first section, climbing quickly.
And one of our older athletes, only 33, but still it's a young field, and it's great to see him in the semi-final.
Yeah, it really is. He's got a try hard that is pretty unique.
And again, a really accomplished rock climber. He's also so experienced in competition climbing. You can see that in the way he's moving. He's moved so fast through these sections.
You have to be efficient, don't you?
And he hits a hold, his eyes move to where he's going next, whether it's his hand or his foot. He knows that he needs to keep pace through this, I think. He knows it's not going to be a forgiving route. You just have to keep moving, keep fighting.
You do indeed. So no chance really for the men to shake. There's that knee bar down low, but as you said, it's so early on.
And he's so much higher already than Mattea.
Yeah, it's fast, isn't it? Well, he's about to enter the section that Stefano had an issue with his clip. Hopefully he spots the clip.
The clip sits just slightly higher, so it is understandable why it's hard to see. But Mattea's making quick work too. She's got through the spin section here, heading into the kind of the more thuggy, like powerful section. There's holds here, they're crimpy, but they're not in-cut. They're kind of rounded edges. It's important to note. They are on volume, so they do feel good. There's a bit of bite there, but they're not super positive.
Yeah, Martin takes a fall. We have an obvious early crux for the men. That's starting to become clear. Whereas the women's is more of an endurance section down low. It's sort of the pump builds on you slowly.
With the men, it seems to be a cruxy section. We don't have any ties currently. Everyone is split. Often we do see a crux move, so it's good work from the route setters in the men's route that we're seeing that kind of cruxy section.
Yeah, and fair play to the setters. They have hugely late nights here.
Yeah, they were working until late last night to tweak these routes and get them absolutely perfect. The demands that they've had to get these routes up and ready, it's impressive work that they do. Honestly, hats off to them.
Yeah, it really is. And the final will be tonight. And you can join me and Shauna for that. We're looking for 8 finalists to move forward. Mattea swinging, cutting loose.
All eyes on Mattea now. She's on the wall on her own, and now Martin's down. So the whole crowd is focused on her.
So it's such an amazing feeling hanging there. Everyone's support. Right, she's looking for that crimp on the edge of the blue volume. That's the heel in. I think she's trying to get the right foot just hanging in space at the moment.
Yeah, it seems awkward here. Your hips are moving around. There's not much stability. I asked if you could rest on this big volcano yellow that she's got with her left hand. They said it is good, but because of the lack of feet, it's really not a comfortable position, as you can see here. She's throwing up with the right, but as she throws up, her hips pendulum to the left, which is what is stopping her from getting that distance. She's not able to use her body weight to get up. It's really working against her there. An unfortunate fall there. She just couldn't quite work the body position. But again, hats off to the route setters, that body position is what is the crucial aspect of being able to move through this route.
Yeah, so good work from her. A smile on her face. You can see it start to go. She bumped from the pocket back down to the crimp and then tried to go into the pocket again and was running out of steam. So that's our top spot. Dohyun Lee, 29 plus, is our current leader. Stefano Ghisolfi with that missed clip is in second place. Big names to come, though, so expect this leaderboard to flip around.
And to mention the missed clip again, to come off a lead route knowing you've not been able to fight to the bitter end, like your forearms, they're not tired. It's really hard to swallow that, because that's what lead climbing is about. It's about fighting. It's about pushing as hard as you can. You're working kind of with everything that you've got. We'll see some great examples of athletes that can just keep climbing despite looking like they're going to fall. They're the ones who'll be coming off with their arms screaming. Anyone who's been climbing, who's tried to push themselves in an endurance route, will definitely know that feeling all too well.
Yeah, exactly. It's
or maybe in any sport, actually. I think, it's kind of a similar feeling to if you push yourself in any sort of endurance sport. You just very focused on the forearms.
Yes, it takes a unique personality to enjoy that kind of thing. That's all I'm saying. Right, Yeju Seo from Korea is on. She's just 17, part of this up-and-coming Korean team. And we go to Korea quite a lot for World Cups.
We haven't seen her in any World Cups this year, so it'll be great to see what she's able to do in the semi-finals today.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Youth World Championships take place in Korea in a couple of weeks. She's looking good here as she cruises through the first part of the route, and that's Philip Schenk. Sorry, Philip Schenk on the left from Italy. Good boulderer as well. And Sean, I mean, you, as you said, you preferred bouldering perhaps, but and we see this wonderful tactic with some more boulder specialists, which is just forget the endurance, just climb really quickly, which can be a tactic.
Yeah, I'm like the opposite of that. So I've got a background in lead climbing as a youth climber, and I climbed so slowly on a lead route. I trained a little with Alex Magos. He would just get so frustrated at me. He would literally be screaming at me to try and climb faster, and I just enjoy taking my time on a lead route, which is maybe not the most efficient method, but it seemed to work okay for me. I am a boulderer at heart, but I do love lead climbing too.
Yeah, these athletes having to sort of diversify their talents.
Yeju making really light work of this beginning section, looking calm, looking confident. Really great to see her climbing with such maturity at a young age.
Yeah, wonderful flow from her. Martin falls trying to make the clip, and a very big fall. It's always awkward when you're pulling out rope to make a clip and then you slip whilst you're doing that. Obviously the fall is longer, but good belaying there for Ty to keep him off the ground.
Great belaying for sure. Hats off to him. He looked like he was struggling on the wall there. This route is hard. It looked like he just had to fight harder than he wanted to, not quite finding his flow, not getting comfortable. It's what the route setters had intended, but I think he'll be disappointed with falling so low down.
Yeah, that's the pattern of the men's route so far. I'm really impressed with Yeju Seo here. She's got such wonderful flow on the wall currently. Looking so calm as well. She eyes up the next pocket and has a shakeout.
You can see her looking where she needs to go, looking for what's coming next, taking in as much information while she's resting. When you are resting on a route like this, you want to be using that time to kind of get as much information for the next section as possible. So whilst you're chalking up and shaking, not just focusing on doing that alone and not taking in what's going on around you. These athletes will be so absorbed in what they're doing, unless they get a moment of pause, and then they might turn around and say hi to the crowd, as we do see sometimes. Which we love to see happen, of course. And the crowd being very supportive right now. Different sequence here than Mattea. She's matched the hold and gone right hand up. Looked to work really well for her, was much more secure, allowed her to get those hips to the right, not having to fight the pendulum, and therefore going into pocket really smoothly. Me geeking out again. I hope everybody appreciates it. You know they do. Or some people appreciate it at least. Yeah, thank you to Shauna. She's the main commentator throughout this week for us. Oh, and finally she goes. That pump came out of nowhere. She didn't look like she was tired at all, and then suddenly it all got into her. Currently awarded 32. It'll be interesting if we can see from another angle or whether she'll be given the plus. It looked like she was moving upwards. It's hard to say. She has been awarded the plus, which is what we expected to see. So yeah, the same as Lynn climbing earlier. She'll place ahead of her though because of the count back. Oh no, I don't believe it will be count back because there was two groups for the first time in the women, so we won't see count back. We'll see ties if they are in the same position. There we go. Thank you, Shauna. correcting myself there. I'm not used to seeing 2 groups in the women.
It was strange, yeah. And I was trying to explain that during one of the qualification highlights videos. And it's a complex thing to get your head around because it's organised within those groups, as you say. So working it out can be hard. But let's see the moment she fell again. Yeah, slapping towards the next hold. She'll get the plus for that, or did get the plus for that, and then came down.
And the reason for those 2 groups is because there were 100 women in qualification, so that's come down to 26, and there were 125 men in qualification. That's the numbers we're seeing, the reason for those 2 groups. Maybe we'll be seeing 3 groups in the future, I do not know. But yeah, it's a big cut to go from that many to 26 or 27 in the men, because we did see a tie.
We need 2 walls. That's what's going to happen at some point. Right, Sean Bailey on the left from Team USA. Good boulder, good lead climber, and a great personality. And then Sarah Chopper from Slovenia. That Slovenian lead team with lots of depth in it.
Yeah, Sean Bailey, a World Cup winner in both boulder and lead. A familiar face in these rounds, a very experienced climber. I think he might enjoy this route. I don't know, I don't want to speak too soon. I definitely don't want to give him the commentator's curse. But he's so incredibly strong. It's quite bouldery here. He's really good at flowing, and his pace is often incredibly fast, which is something that will be beneficial here. If you can stay fast, stay efficient, and not make mistakes, that's going to be what you really want to be doing here.
Yeah, and he is looking fast and efficient. There is Team Canada down the front, Team GB having a little discussion, possibly having an appeal debate. We'll see. It's part of the coach's job is to spot those things and sort of defend their athletes' positions sometimes. All right, Sarah is in the pockets with 2 fingers, and Sean is about to enter the purple section of the route after that awkward blue start. Big clip above her head there for Sarah Chopper.
It's almost hard to see how steep this wall is here. When they take their feet off and swing them around, it's when you get a bit of perspective on that.
Yeah, and check out the quick draws as well, hanging away from the wall. That's another indication of it.
Great look at this upside down section here for the women's route. Sarah looking comfortable though, taking her time to get her feet right, having a chalk like we've seen our other athletes do in this section, just really composing herself. Eyes always looking around though to what's coming next.
Yeah, lots going on for her. She gets that left foot drilled into the pocket, and watch Sean as he starts that campus, makes the clip.
Making a clip where we've seen others fall.
Yeah, Sean qualifying fairly low down the order, but that doesn't really make a difference in terms of how good these athletes are. We often see the ones coming out first doing well.
Looking so solid there, the most solid we've seen so far, not missing that clip. A little wobble there, it looked like he lost his left foot, which threw his hips to the left. Doesn't seem to have slowed him down too much though. I don't expect that will have taken too much out of him. He was in a really solid position, just kind of a little bit spooked maybe, but he'll find his flow again, I imagine. Yeah,
he continues quickly, had a bit of a shake, and Sarah is about to enter this physical part of the route where, as you said, there is a possibility for a rest, but it's just awkward. Look at how steep. I mean, that's a good angle to show it there for Sean Bailey's screen.
It is. He's looking pumped actually, but he's got holds. There are jibs in there, so hopefully we can see him really get into fight mode here.
Yeah, watch those elbows. He rests with a straight arm. Sarah makes that awkward clip, and she'll get into a resting.
Oh, a slip there for Sean. That's so unfortunate.
Yeah, so his comp is done for now. Sarah has a heel on top of the volume. She's pressing, I think she's pressing a toe in there onto that black. Maybe not.
No, she's quite far away from the black, so she's actually just dangling on her heel. It did look like it from there. I can see why you thought that. But she had her heel on and her left foot pressed into the wall, kind of slight tripod, like I've been talking about a few times. You can get 3 points of contact pressing in the right way. You can get a bit of an efficient rest, which is not what the route setters were expecting here. Hopefully she can figure out something here. We've not seen this yet. She has her right toe in the pocket, which is right in front of her. Not quite getting the height there. That looked like it could have worked. Definitely not the easiest way. Her leg was right in front of her, pushing her away from the wall, making her hands and her arms work so much harder. And just missing the pocket. With pockets, you have to be so accurate, very unforgiving.
Yeah, the right leg looked like he got a little bit in the way as she tried to stab into that pocket.
And Yeju there, she used the right hold that you can see here, matched it and went right hand up, which looked like a much more secure way. You can see here having to throw to the pocket. You have to throw your hips up, reach up at the right time, and you want to be reaching before your hips start traveling down again, because if they do, you're not going to be able to get the height, which is what we just saw here.
There we go. Right, Stasha Gejo from Slovenia is on. Sorry, not Slovenia, Serbia is on. She's on the right of the wall.
I am so excited to watch Stasha climb.
Me too.
A disappointing boulder round for her. She will have really wanted to make that semi-final, and she didn't. She missed it. We're not used to seeing Stasha not in semi-finals. It has been a hard year, a very mixed year for the women. The level has stepped up significantly. Stasha's been away working hard on her lead climbing, as well as her bouldering, of course, and doing lots of other things as well. Stasha does so much, but I think she'll have been happy with her performance in qualification in lead, but wanting to show her very best out here today.
Well, there is a great shot there of one of the coaches. They record all the climbs so they can analyse it later and, of course, use it for appeals. And then Tomoa Narasaki, as you said, pity not to see him in the boulder, but good to see him on a lead rope.
I still have all of my records of from my coach from all the comps I did. I don't really want to delete them, but I don't know what to do with them. We record them to check for appeals and make sure that we are able to use that as well, then to go through after the competition. A lot of athletes like to review their climb. You can learn so much from watching yourself climb. I would actually recommend everybody does it if you're trying to improve your climbing, recording yourself and watching it back, because you will look a lot different to what you think is going on in your head.
You need to sell that stuff, surely.
Giving coaching tips out.
Well, that's what I mean. You should sell your collection and be like, if people want to learn, watch my video series.
Oh no, I think people should watch themselves. So useful.
Right, Stasha will enjoy this section, as you said. Good boulderer, and it's a bouldery kind of moves.
It is. So much action going on right now.
It is. Tomoa is flowing through the route. He'll probably climb fairly quickly.
Tomoa flowing through the route very quick in Tomoa style. Risky move there. Paid off though.
Yeah, he's in. Makes those clips.
Tomoa often looks like he's taking such big risks, but he's so strong and he knows his body so well that it works for him.
All right, Stasha goes upside down, gets those toes cammed in, and then Tomoa will begin this drop-down campus sequence.
Tomoa more known for his bouldering, and definitely, like you were saying earlier, climbs very, very quickly on a lead route, which we do see with the boulder. He has missed the clip though. Just like Stefano, I hope he can figure out a way to make this work. Left hand ripped there, really, really quick rip. I don't know if it was because he was sweaty and like that's why he slipped, or if it was a dry fire. It's hard to say, but yeah, I don't think we'll see athletes climbing past that clip and making it. It looked like he was in such a fast flow that he just kind of was super distracted. Different to Stefano, who did miss it in kind of a different way. He was absorbing the climbing. Tomoa was really keeping the pace up, but all eyes on Stasha now. Yeah,
good work with the heels there. She had a clever heel underneath. Time 6 minutes the athletes have on it. We can't see that at the moment. She's up to the crimps.
Fighting hard here. She doesn't look comfortable. Stasha, one of the taller athletes, you can see she's got a high heel on the left. She needs to be pushing with her legs here in order to get the weight into that undercut. She's changed her sequence much better now from Stasha. Going to come into match. Is fighting though. Look at her biceps having to work really hard.
Yeah, she slaps and slaps again, holds the pocket. Good work from her. What a fight.
That was so impressive. I think she almost looked surprised with herself that she made it through that section. Hopefully she can get enough back to keep fighting, but fair play for staying on the wall then. Wow, what a try-hard moment. And this is so important for her. Stasha currently, I believe, sitting outside of the top 20 for the lead and boulder event that we've got to come. The lead and boulder event that is going to be really important in that Olympic selection for many different reasons in terms of points gained. So this means a lot for Stasha. It is not just this competition that's on the line for her that's taking place right now. It's not just this route, and she knows it, and I think you can see it in the way that she's climbing. What fight.
Yeah, it is, and finally it comes undone for Stasha, but yeah, we can see every expression on her face. She gives us lots to talk about, always.
You can see she's looking back over that route, she's shrugging her shoulders, she's kind of shaking her head. She didn't know what to do through that sequence. So whether she had a plan on the ground and wasn't able to execute it because it felt different, or whether she didn't know what to do, just went up there to try and figure it out on the wall. Either way, she didn't and she wasn't able to. And that's why she's so annoyed, because it's not that she fell off because she couldn't keep climbing, it's she fell off because she didn't find a sequence that allowed her to keep climbing.
Well, Stasha leaves the stage. And let's see Tomoa again. So we missed that clip. And he was starting to look a bit jerky, a bit stabby through this section as that pump built.
And you can see his left hand just totally blows there.
And then Stasha got that high heel to try to get something back. She flicked it around, that pocket was there, and the crimp, but no go for Stasha, and she will leave.
And you can maybe guess what nation the next athlete is by the way the crowd has just totally ramped up.
Indeed, Johannes Utelli is on for Switzerland on the left, and then Hélène Janicot from France on the right. She's having an amazing season as well. Left comp climbing to become a route setter, and now she's back on the big stage and a solid member of Team France.
Very cool to see her join the route setting team and then shift back to being an athlete. I don't believe we've seen that before.
No, she told me that, well, there she is on screen, she told me that she was doing the moves that she was setting, so she suddenly realised, well, hang on a sec, why on earth aren't I competing? If I can climb these things, then I'm going to have a go, and it was clearly the right decision for her.
Yeah, great to see her. We actually competed on the youth circuit together. We're the same age, so we were in the same category year on year. Nice to see her still really crushing it out there.
She is. Right, so she begins, couple of clips in. Close clips down at the bottom. The athletes have to clip them all, remember.
A nice look at the start of both routes there from the distance. You could see how precarious the moves looked. Speaking to the setters and asking them what they were most excited to watch, nearly always you would expect it to be the top section, where the drama is, where the crowd gets involved. But actually, the route setters were saying they're most excited to see the athletes through these start sections. So the blue section for the men, the yellow for the women, because it forces the climbers to climb efficiently, and it doesn't allow for kind of any mistakes, any subtle mistakes. We'll see climbers pop off there or lose a lot of power and endurance that they need to come. So yeah, keep your eyes on those lower sections, keep watching the athletes' hips, what they're doing, how they're moving, and I think you can see when the athletes are on the wall how hard they're trying, just like here.
Yeah,
you're seeing that fight.
His toe standing right up on it, and Hélène again adjusts the feet, gets them drilled into the pockets. Johannes cuts loose with the shoulder move. Drops his knee down in order to make the clip.
A good recovery from him there. He looked like he was having to try really hard. He left his feet quite low, got super extended on a steep wall. It's going to make him have to fight a lot harder, but a great recovery.
Hélène slides that foot down off the blue balls, finds the heel underneath, and she is pressing that toe up for a moment to get a bit more pressure off the arms.
She's not upside down here like we've seen all of the other athletes do. She's making it work her way. She's making it work for herself.
And Johannes falls on the left. Says goodbye to that crowd, as you said. Big reaction from them. We've got some big names. Sasha Lehmann from Switzerland will come up later on. Hélène reaches above her head to get that extended draw in, nice and early for her. Crimps with the left hand, and again a good drop knee, just the edge of the foot pressing into that.
She is pumped though. You saw her shake there. Not something we're used to seeing this low down for such an experience, such a good endurance climber. You can see in her face she's looking around. She almost looks a bit concerned at how hard that bottom section was. I think anyone would be. But we know these routes are hard. The athletes want hard routes. I actually think the women's route looks really cool. Like, it looks so fun. But it's just relentless. There's not a point where you can kind of stop and recover. I always loved a good happy rest. But yeah, you don't get that here.
No, they try quite hard to get that out of it as well, because we saw a lot of women at one point getting incredible double heel hooks in, split moves, and the setters working so hard to try to prevent those rests.
Hélène using her feet and her flexibility really well there, just to make that more efficient. And then this move, I think it's unavoidable that you have to campus in, but all the way through she's been making her foot placements and using her flexibility to climb as efficiently as possible. You can see, just checking the clock there.
Yeah,
that's what she's turning around for. Almost looked like she was looking for something else, but she's just looking around for the clock.
Clocks dotted throughout the stage, some of them facing up towards the athletes so they can easily see it.
And the athletes proving the route setters wrong again. I asked if this was a good rest spot. They said no, but Hélène making it look super chill right there.
She has a shake out, hopefully gets something back, because this next move is a hard one. Left hand into the pocket.
Left hand into pocket. She's going to come down. She is going to match. I think that's the only way. To go right hand into pocket is the only way.
All right, so she moves through, getting a big reaction from the crowd, and they cheer her up. Feet on small jibs on the black volume. Out towards the banana stacked volumes. All those elbows, though, on the left coming up as she makes the move up to the blocked crimp.
Good to see that move from another angle, so she will, I think, be at that 30-plus zone, so current high point. With the other athletes that I've got there, you can see there's a little jib for the thumb on the right-hand hold, but it's so sloping. The fact that they've put that jib on shows how bad that hold is. You want to be hitting that with something like some energy left, something more to give in that right shoulder. It's very powerful. You need to be super strong through the arm and stable. Your hand can't move when you hit the left hold. If it does, it's going to rip off. So when you go for that move, the athletes that are going to be hitting it need to be super strong and really still when they hit that movement.
Yeah, that was a replay of Johannes from earlier on. Jonas, from early on. He fell a long time before Hélène, and let's see this moment where Hélène went. Gets the plus for that.
Jonas falling quite early, but I think if he can take some positives away, he had a little bobble low down, he recovered from that, was able to keep pushing through. That middle section on the yellow holds, it's so powerful, it's so difficult. Unfortunate to lose him there, but still good to see him recover. Absolutely.
Well, Camilla Moroni is on the right, and then Mejdi Schalck on the left. Two perhaps more boulder specialists in past years, but of course having to diversify and get good in the lead rope as well. And Mejdi, one of the favourites for sure to take an Olympic ticket. He's come on in recent years, real maturity from him.
Are we talking about the boulder, or are we not talking about the boulder?
I don't know what to do. I know we'll get shouted. Well, people will be very annoyed at us for it, but we can definitely talk about him, I think.
He had an amazing boulder competition. I won't say where he finished. He was very nervous coming into this competition. He's put a lot into making sure he peaks for this event. He's talked about it on social media. He's not, I'm not sharing any secrets here. He's one of the sweetest guys I've ever met. He's a really, really lovely guy, but knows how to turn that fire on, turn that fight on. He's so passionate. Speaking to him after the boulder round, he was so happy with his performance, but also so much passion and so much love and appreciation for his fellow teammates. I really want to see him do well here. He's put a lot into it, and he climbs with such style and such grace. I think we will definitely be seeing him in the leader and boulder? The lead and boulder that we've got to come, regardless of his performance here, just because of his points that he'll be taking through from the boulder round. But he's looking efficient and smooth here. Yeah,
Mejdi doing well. Yeah, Team France, as you said, very supportive. And Team Italy as well on the right. I mean, there's so many members of Team Italy in this lead semi-finals. And Camilla had a funny season. She got sick early on and had not the best start to things, and it's good to see her bounce back. She's been doing a lot of training behind the scenes.
We've seen her have some really strong results in boulder and also some high places in lead, so I think she will be looking for a spot in the lead and boulder event that's to come.
Yeah, and she got a little tangled in the rope there, sorted herself out, which was good because can cause some problems sometimes. Mejdi swings to the left, gets his foot drilled into the pocket, makes the clip, and he's climbing quite quickly right now.
He is. He's got through that yellow section, or he's almost to the yellow section, so I think we'll see him kind of find his flow a little bit on the purple, hopefully, if we don't see any slips. Camilla, for her, she's currently sitting in 25th in the lead and boulder, so this lead route is super important.
So lots of pressure on our athletes here this morning. Mejdi looking good, up into the jibs on the purple.
Ooh, a big scream from Mejdi there. He is fighting hard.
This men's route is savage, isn't it? As another one goes down early.
It is, and we've still yet to see anyone get close to the head wall. There's a long way to go for the athletes. They have really stepped things up with this route.
They have, and Camilla pulls out a chunk of rope to make that clip, and she's having to fight as well. It looks restful, that position. It's not, trust me. Bumps into the jib, cuts loose, wild from Camilla now.
It isn't intense, it's a wild move, like you say. There's no avoiding kind of that slapping, I don't think. So you just got to really commit to it. Then you can compose yourself before going into one of the more cruxy moves that we've seen, hitting this pocket, and then into the cruxy section where we've lost most of the athletes.
Yeah, you can see the scores on the right now. Remember, top 8, and you can see number 8 is highlighted, and that scoreboard will change around. But look at that 32 plus area. The top 4 all getting to the same place. So Camilla out towards the crimp. She wants to get her right hand in the pocket. Oh, that's a method.
Yeah, showing her bouldering prowess there, opting for a campus. Unfortunately, not quite making it. Campusing to a pocket is a risky move, and unfortunately, it didn't pay off that time.
Yeah, I think she got a little pumped working her way through, and yeah, very bouldery, so perhaps not the best way. So we'll have to wait for Camilla's scores to see if she gets into that boulder and lead later on. And that's the knot that you were saying is hard to undo. It does lock up.
Yeah, you can take some big falls on these walls and really great belaying. You need a dynamic belay here, but yeah, the knots can definitely lock up.
That's our arena. Speed wall on the left. That comp will come later on, the same day as the Parrot finals, if I'm right about that. And let's see Mejdi here. This is where he fell.
He didn't seem to make a mistake. He just looked tired. We saw that he had a big shout on that move just before that. I think, yeah, he was just gassed by that point. And understandably, these moves are so hard. Oh, Camilla did get into the pocket and didn't quite hold it. It's so unfortunate.
I am loving Mikkel's jacket there. Awesome style from him.
Hasn't quite noticed he's on stage. I think someone might be on the screen, sorry. I wonder if they're all looking at the results, refreshing ferociously to see.
Yeah, they will be checking it. All right, Yoshiyuki Ogata is on the left, and then on the right, it's Meer Krampl. And Meer, another Olympian, should be looking to get another ticket for the 24 Paris Games.
I think Yoshiyuki actually had quite a bad fall in semi-finals, so it's great to see that he's here. Maybe had a little bit of neck trouble, but not looking to be in any bad shape here. He seems quite happy and ready to give it his all. Yoshiyuki always seems to climb so fast and so wild. He, again, is quite a reckless climber, I would say.
Oh, he's fallen straight away. That's a very
big
early slip from him. So nasty, and yeah, he's immediately adjusting. So we'll see that again, but yeah, big slip, ended up head down towards the ground. And it just shows that section, we knew how insecure it was.
Seeing this section here, you can see there's some dual texture holds at the bottom. These, we were told the foot holds aren't great. You're really awkward. In really awkward positions throughout that bottom section. The root cesses, I do think expected a few slips there. If you lose that concentration on climbs like this, on moves like this, it just shows what happens. It's so unfortunate for Yoshiyuki.
It really was. So we'll get a replay of that because it was very quick and early on.
Before this round, so heading into this round, Yoshiyuki was sitting in 11th in the combined, in the lead and boulder. So I hope that doesn't have too much impact on his result.
Yeah, I'll have to wait and see for that. It's a disappointment from the Japanese athletes. We'll stick with Meer Krampl. Such a good lead climber, so much fight in her.
So much fight, but also a lot of maturity in her climbing. You can see when she's moving, she's efficient, she's delicate, she tries hard when she needs to, and with lead routes, you have to change pace quite frequently. You need to rest when you can, you need to be really as efficient as possible. We're seeing a great demonstration of that here with Meer. She's looking up to clip when she can, she's really straight under-armed, that drop knee showing her flexibility. I think we'll see her give a big fight into this next move. No, we won't. She'll just do it super easily. Yeah,
cruise through that. Flick the hand around the rope. Don't want to get tangled up in that. Good climbing from Meer. We've seen her perform well, and that's a good shot of that hold. So the thumb jib there, allowing the pinch.
Yeah, so a little thumb jib and also jib inside. That's just to make the hold much better. Gives a little bit of bite so they can rest more effectively or shake more effectively on that move. Not sure.
Yeah, she looks for the right hand, gets the pocket in nicely.
Interestingly, puts her her left heel, right toe super high. It stopped that pendulum I was talking about earlier. The right foot pushing into that yellow hold, stopped her hips from falling underneath, making her so stable going up to the pocket and looking really solid here.
She is, so you can see her score creep up. She's on 32 now, so one more plus. That left hold where all of the athletes have fallen so far. She gets it though and might move forward here.
You could see how much fight was going through her back there. She was really high in the shoulders. Like I said, the athletes would need to be in order to hit that. Both arms at 90 degrees, but her feet weren't really on anything. She was smearing, so she's going to have lost a lot of power through that.
Yeah, and you can see how small the holds are. She's closing the crimp off, wrapping the thumb over, and this is a big move into the next pocket as well.
Big move, but into a good pocket, so I hope she's able to get it. She should be able to get a bit back here. You can see she's shaking straight away. She is trying hard. Good to see these next moves, though, as well.
Yeah, and she can kind of bridge out here on the next volume. Wants to match it on the dual text as she falls, going towards the next hold. But that's our new high point, 36 out in front at the moment.
And I think from speaking with the setters, she was about to head into the burly section. So we're losing athletes before it gets powerful, before it gets burly, before it gets intense. Yes, it's heating up to be a very, very difficult route.
It is indeed, but we've got some
difficult set of routes.
Yes, both. Exactly. I mean, huge names to come, of course, and Yanya's been very explicit about talking about how hard she likes to climb. So let's see a replay of Yoshiyuki here. Let's work out where he fell. So he was making the clip with the right hand.
Left foot high, misses the foothold, it looked like. He put the middle of his foot, the arch of his foot on, and it looked to me like his left foot slipped.
Yeah, and that was Meer's fall high up. Yeah, so unfortunate from Yoshiyuki. Just a little mistake, and it's cost him dear.
I think maybe his mind was on the next bit of climbing. He was kind of not as focused as he needed to be. I do hope we see him in the lead and boulder. He's going to want to get some redemption on that. That's definitely not what any athlete wants, and all of the athletes, I do think, want to see other athletes do well. They want to be fighting against each other on their best day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Yoshiyuki, someone who we've seen in lead finals previously, he's very capable on a lead wall, despite being a boulder specialist.
All right, we're watching Paul Gemp from France go underway, and just to let you know, watching at home, Sean Bailey is under appeal for his 30 score. So that's being checked at the moment. We'll let you know what happens with that. So that's Paul Gemp on the left, and then on the right, Jilu Lo from China is underway. Now, I love watching Paul climb because he has the most unique style, and he finds bizarre rests and sequences that no one else can spot. He uses his height so well.
Not that you have favourites.
No, absolutely not. But styles, I definitely do, and I do enjoy watching this man. I think he was the first one to demonstrate, to me anyway, the double knee bar stack in Voronezh in Russia. I've never seen it before. It was really cool. And there's Mejdi supporting.
Yeah, cheering Paul on. We saw Paul in the semi-finals of Boulder climbing really, really well, giving a good fight. The men did have a rest day yesterday, so hopefully feeling fresh for this route.
Yeah, so Paul leaves the purples into the yellows. Jilu is very quick through that powerful section.
Yeah, both athletes climbing a bit faster here. I feel like the pace has stepped up a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right, especially for Jilu. She's so fast.
Really impressive shake from Paul there, finding a rest.
This is it. He does that all the time. It's brilliant to see it. He just sees routes differently.
We talk about rest and we talk about shakes. I feel like if we say a shake, it's a quick little shake of the arm, whereas a rest, they'll spend more time there trying to get a bit more back. And this is the section where he needs to remember that clip. He's looked up at it, his eyes darted up, and it's great to see that he's made that, because I don't think we'll see anyone climb through this section and they'll be able to make that clip.
Exactly. All right, so Paul is safely through. This is entering, though, a hard part of the wall. This is where Sean Bailey slipped earlier on, and fell earlier on.
Good look at that crimp on the women's route. Jilu just crossing under into the undercut now. This undercut is really good, but she's darted her eyes back up to that crimp, just shaking, kind of looking at it being like, stay there, hand, do not move. You can see it's not a positive edge, it's not in cut, it's not holding on to you, it's a bad hold.
There she has a big old drop knee in as well to make that clip, and Paul fighting as he hits the last of the purple pockets.
shaking out, just trying to get anything back for this next move. The next hold is good, but it's a hard move into it. So we've not seen anyone stick this hold yet, I don't believe.
Shilu falls and Paul falls, synchronized falling there. And that will put Paul, though, high up on the leaderboard. Shilu swinging way towards the front of the stage, showing how overhanging that route is.
So the appeal for Sean, I think, was to say that he held the next hold in control. So he was awarded 29 plus. The appeal is for a 30 score. You can kind of do an appeal against a score for your own athlete as opposed to just appealing against other athletes and trying to mark them down. So that's why the Americans will be appealing to try and get that score up, and we'll find out if that appeal will be upheld or not.
Exactly, yeah. The judges will be looking at videos right now, trying to figure the sequences out. It is up to them. And there is our crowd. French flags, Swiss flags. And Nina Caprez on the mic, giving us live updates from the arena. And that was Paul's fall as he crossed through into the blue.
Yeah, the announcer's doing an incredible job here. The atmosphere builds at the right time. It feels like they're getting lots of information. Nina, a really experienced climber herself and super passionate about these events too. And you can feel that, I think, in her commentating. We
can indeed. Boulder wall has been stripped of roots. That will rest for a while before we come to the boulder and lead later on. Now, a legend is on the right shoulder. Jae Kim from Korea. I mean, someone you've spent time on the circuit with for sure.
The entire time I was on the circuit, yes. She started before I did. She's a little older than me, and she's still going now. It's so very cool to see her make a return to comps after having her little girl. Inspiring on so many different levels, but also a beautiful climber to watch in her style. She's incredibly graceful on the wall, and yeah, an absolute legend, like you say. She
is indeed. And then Colin Duffy on the left didn't make the boulder semi-final, so he needs a big score here.
He does, and he's an Olympian. He's won a Boulder World Cup, he's won a Lead World Cup. He's won a Boulder and Lead World Cup in the same weekend. I think only Yanni Gambra has done that.
That's true.
Other than Colin. So he'll be wanting a good fight here. He wants a spot in that Lead and Boulder event that's to come, and I expect we'll definitely be seeing him there if he can put a good performance in today.
Yeah, he's had one of those seasons where he's come close but not quite. He's just been outside of finals quite a few times.
Yeah, he's had an unfortunate season, which coming off the back of winning comps is a hard place to be. It's not easy to stay consistent in this game anymore. The level keeps stepping up, up and up. It's kind of crazy how impressive the level is now. Colin is still young. He comes from Team ABC, Boulder, Colorado, coached by Robin and a great set of people. Good friends with Brooke, and yeah, coming from Team ABC, you know, he's got so much knowledge and learning and so much maturity for such a young climber. It's great to see. Robin is in the crowd right now screaming. I know she will be. I was chatting to her the other day and she was like, Colin's climbing, go, bye, ran off. She was there right at the bottom of the climb. It's great to see coaches so passionate about their climbers and not in it for themselves, just really here to support them and do everything they can to ensure that these climbers are able to display their best performance possible.
Absolutely, and while we're talking about Team USA, Sean Bailey's appeal has been rejected, so he will not get that score of 30.
Still sitting in first place in joint first. I expect we'll see that change with a lot of athletes still to go.
So Jae shakes out and has a moment to look towards the right here. She's so controlled and calm with her movements.
Controlled, calm, graceful, precise.
Colin falls, head in his hands, and that is huge for him.
Big slip.
Well, we know he needed a good score, and that could be problematic for him in terms of the boulder and lead later on.
He was in 22nd in the boulder and leader results coming into this round, so yeah, that might have a huge and devastating impact for him in this Olympic selection that's taking place here. But all points going towards the Olympic selection process that's coming later after this event, but definitely not what he was wanting.
No, and the Pan Ams as well, that will be another focus for him coming up. So he's got more chances, but disappointment for him.
Disappointment, definitely. And
oh, sorry, just look at this. Look at that left toe from Jae. That's so cool.
Left toe resting on that terrible crimp. That is an intermediate, and we see a figure 4.
Well, we'd love to see a figure four that move, originally kind of coming from ice climbing, a way of getting a bit more height. Jane now gets the heel in. And
I think we'll see her opt for the match, I imagine. Shaken out. This is zapping her energy, definitely. Unfortunately, she's not seen a way through this.
no, well, she makes it, but that would have taken something from her.
See such a deep lock. The heel worked, but she was fighting that pendulum. She was having to pull really hard there.
All right, so
taking a lot of energy, that section for Giant.
Yeah, very powerful from her. Right, so she needs to recover something here. That's all she's holding on to. Great shot to show it. Getting those fingers as deep as possible into the space.
And you can see when she's moving, she throws her hips into the wall, putting so much weight through her feet, climbing really well, opting for her thumb over her fingers here, not a wide pinch. I hope that works for her. It does. Oh, it doesn't.
She falls going left, and there, her face says it all, really.
So because she didn't have her thumb on that pinch, she had very little opposition when she hit that hold. She was really high up in her shoulders, but almost too high. I think athletes need their shoulders almost at 90 degrees, so they're able to create a bit of compression between those two holds. The left is horizontal, the right is vertical and horizontal. Which way's which? But they're very different angles, so an awkward position to be. Very, very bad feet for that section, which is why we've seen so many athletes fall there.
Yeah, unfortunate from her. I want to see her. You know, there's some athletes. And she said to me in Villars, I was like, "Why did you come back?" She said, "I wanted to do my daughter proud," which is like a wonderful reason to return. But she's done her daughter proud already, you know. And it's lovely to see her back on the stage.
She definitely has done her daughter so proud, and you know she already had done before she even came back. To see her come back and win a World Cup gold medal, like wow, what a magical moment for her and for the sport. She did that in Chamonix recently and then had an unfortunate event just after that. I don't think she'll be best pleased with her performance here, and I believe she needed a good performance here today in order to make it through to the lead in boulder. She was sitting in 19th, but that is actually the high point of the route right now, so it could be enough. It could be enough for us to see her in the lead in boulder event next week.
Absolutely. Well, we'll let you know as we get those scores updated. All right, Sean McColl is on the left. It's good to see him back. Had a injury and surgery on his shoulder, and he's been building up towards this moment. And he said to me, look, I don't really care about the World Cups. It's just kind of practice. It's the World Champs that is everything to him, and getting into a semi-final.
It is everything to him, but also I'm not trying to correct you, but in a way, it's part of his process. He's talked about, we did a press conference a few days ago, he's talked about the fact that this isn't where he's trying to qualify for the Olympic Games. This is all gaining points towards OQS. He's focusing on the Pan American Championships. He's focusing on the Olympic qualifier series that's coming next year. He's building back from a shoulder surgery. Having had shoulder surgery myself, it's a gnarly surgery to come back from, the one he's had. And to be in the World Championship semi-finals, I think he's incredibly pleased with his performance, as he should be. And we're seeing him build on event again and again and again. This year, he's just been improving and making those steps. So whatever he's doing is clearly working.
It clearly is, yeah. It's good to see that recovery. And then on the right, Zelia Abazu, we saw her last night in the boulder finals. What a performance from her, just outside of the podium, but a good performance.
We'll see her brother later on as well. Great to see them both climbing in the semi-final.
And now Sean on the crimps. Nice pink harness as well, that's really cool. And then Zelia swinging over to the right, high feet, and clever to get those feet jammed in and then gets the cam.
When you think about what she did yesterday, she went through the boulder semi-final round, a really hard, brutal round, very physical, and then the finals with a display of incredible climbing from her. But she's going to be feeling that, I imagine, just like the other athletes that competed in boulder finals last night. It's an intense schedule here. Yeah. So absolutely amazing to see her doing so well on this lead route and looking so comfortable.
Yes, exactly. She's choosing to climb it nice and quickly.
Sean looking really comfortable as well, which is cool to see. He's looking composed, he's looking confident. He's one of the older athletes at 35 here. He's got so much experience, the most World Cup appearances we've ever seen. So, you know, from experience, there's no one kind of more experienced than he is on this stage.
Yeah, we celebrated his 174 in Briançon and got a bottle of champagne for that one on the stage, which was a lovely moment for him. All right, Zelia splits, Sean falls.
I didn't quite catch why Sean fell there. I'm not sure if it was fatigue or a slip. I was watching Zelia's footwork. She struggled to get her foot out a little bit. Is looking a little fatigued, but very focused.
Yeah, a bit like Camilla, she's opting to campus through here. Like to get some feet in, and now shakes out. Left hand.
Left hand, and hasn't spent time in that rest. I think she was going left hand up in order to get a bit of a rest in the pocket. Very clever climbing from her.
Yeah, you're right.
And I have a fun fact that I actually competed in a boulder final with her mum, which is wild. Wow. Cecile Abazou is a legend of the sport, professional climber, an incredibly good professional climber. So yeah, it's so fun to see her now fighting hard on these lead and boulder. An unfortunate slip there for her, but she's going to have done enough to make it through to the lead and boulder that we've got coming later in the event. I hope she's able to kind of take away what she did last night. Her performance on the slab is worth going back to watch. It was one of the cool moments. I saw her after the round, and she was saying, I was looking down for where I was going to land. I just had no idea that I'd held on. So yeah, a really cool moment to see.
All right, let's watch this. Sean did have a little slip there, but I think he was getting burnt out too. But no, his head in his hands, so yeah, frustration.
I'm not sure if it was he missed the hold or a little slip. It was really hard to see why he came off there. It almost looked like he was confused too. Yeah,
combination of things perhaps. And there is member of Team France supporting Zelia. All right, well, I think we are on a cleaning break here. So this is where the setters will go up, brush the holds, make sure it's ready for the next set of athletes, and this goes halfway through our competition and gives us a moment just to breathe a little bit.
Just coming back to the cleaning break, someone asked me, how on earth do you find people strong enough to climb these routes to clean them? And I pointed out that they pull on the quick draws, so they will use the quick draws in order, so it kind of aid climbing, and they are not climbing them whilst brushing. That would be insanely impressive. These are some of the hardest, well, they're probably the hardest indoor routes that exist in the world right now. So, yeah. Yeah. They are definitely resting, sitting on the drawers. The belayer will hold them whilst they clean them. They are not holding onto the holds while they're cleaning them.
One of the setters asked me the other day if I could commentate the cleaning, which I would love to do one day. We'll have a special feature, you know. Well, watching some replays of the earlier action. Yifei Pan on the left, and that is Lucia Charkas on the right. And we'll let you know the scores as well. But currently, Paul Gempt sitting on the top spot for the men,
with Dohyun Lee and Sean Bailey also.
So that's our top three currently.
They're all in first.
Oh, they're all in first.
Yeah,
equal scores.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, sorry.
No, don't worry.
Yeah, not explaining myself.
No, it's fine. And we're watching Dohyun Lee here. So one of our leaders currently crossing through, and then Meer Krampl in 36 plus, Hélène Janicot 32 plus, and Yuju So 32 plus as well. And then we continue down into the 30s. And
Jane Kim and Lynn also in 32 plus. So we've got a long list. We've got 4 athletes in joint second in the women's, 3 athletes in joint first in the men's.
It's tight up there on that lead wall.
It is. We are only halfway though, and we've only seen half of the routes.
Yes, that's true. I mean, the cleaning break is quite quick because obviously they only have to clean up to where the athletes have climbed.
That's a great point, and someone did say, why aren't they cleaning the top when the qualification was happening? And it was because no one had got there yet. The routes in qualification were really difficult. The athletes seemed psyched about that. They want hard routes. They want to showcase the best that they've got to show and to express themselves, and that's what we need hard routes for. So yes, we haven't seen the top of the routes yet. We're seeing athletes kind of get just above that halfway mark, I would say, but not up onto the head wall, and the climbing style tends to change on the head wall. We see people fighting in a very different way, much less steep, so they will be standing through their feet, kind of doing more delicate movements, tic-tacky movements, I tend to use the term, but not seen that yet.
No, we haven't. Well, that's to come, hopefully. Yoshiyuki Ogata, this is a big moment for him. He took a nasty slip down low. Yeah, I think that it maybe dual text there and just didn't get it.
And a wild fall as well.
Wild fall, yeah. Great belaying to keep him off. That is, what did you say? It was an ibex.
It was an ibex, yeah. I checked just to confirm. I had a lot of people making sure that I knew it was an ibex.
Also, ibex is chilling out. Why not? Sitting in the deck chairs. Well, let's check the official scores. So, yeah, Dohyun Lee, 29 plus. Lots of 3 joint leaders currently. Sean Bailey, Paul Jempf taking the top spots. Then Mejdi Schalck after that with 27 plus. Tomoa and Narasaki 26 plus. And we go down the list. Colin Duffy, Stefano Ghisolfi, Sean McCall, Martin Stranik and U5 Pan make up our top 10. And Johannes Utelli got a big reaction from the Swiss crowd. Marcello Bombardi, he climbed first, set the high point, 20 plus for him. Philip Schenk, and then Yoshiyuki Ogata, we saw it, unfortunate slip down low, a scary moment for him. And Alex Megos will be the next athlete out after the break. Fairly popular man. You may have heard of him. And then going down the list, Alberto Hines Lopez, the current Olympic defending champion. See if he can get back in. And then Serato Anraku down at the bottom. And Jakob Schubert, the man who always seems to perform in those big occasions. He will climb second to last. And as we check out the women's scores, 36 plus is the high point. Meer Krampl leading the way, and then draws on second position. Lynn, Vandermeer, Iju So, Hélène, Janicot, Jain Kim, all with 32 plus, so they share a second spot. Mattea Tarkas, Zilia Avzu, Mattea Pötzi, Sarah Chopper, and Camilla Moroni on 27 plus. And there is an appeal against Lucia Tarkas' score, saying it should be 32 plus instead of 32, so trying to upgrade her score.
So that'll be an appeal from the Slovenian team against the judge, so whatever the judge decided the score, they think they disagree with it. They'll have been looking on their iPad, assessing whether or not to put the appeal in, and then have chosen to make that appeal.
Yeah, so that is underway, and we'll let you know the results of that. And then finally for the women, well, those athletes will climb last. Janja Garnbret, we won't give it away, but she had a pretty good night last night, but she will climb last. And then I Murray, the endurance queen, will climb second to last. Xianso and Janja Garnbret, I was watching them read the route together, and it was fascinating because they didn't come together, then they grouped, and they just went literally this. They went that, and that's all they were saying, and they were doing the hand movements. They had this like patter down. It was really cool to see.
It is really fun watching route reading, I think. It does look like some sort of crazy dance, and it's nice to see athletes from different nations reading the route together. Everyone wants this kind of dramatic fight story going on with the athletes, and I just don't see that in climbing. Ultimately, it's you and the wall. You can't affect someone's performance. We're not trying to. And, Janja is the reigning queen of everything, and she wants a challenge. She knows the other girls are coming for her, and she absolutely loves it. She's there to win and beat everybody on their best day. So, yeah, it's cool to see that she reads the routes with the other athletes. They all kind of get together and want each other to do well.
Yeah.
As well as beating. They want to beat their friends when they do well.
Yes, you want to win in the right way. But it's always interesting to me how it changes for speed, because speed is sort of more competitive. It's one against the other.
It is.
And there's mind games in speed.
It's one against the other. Again, you are only in control of your own performance when that buzzer goes, but it's a different environment, as we are going to see later in the competition. I love watching speed climbing.
I love it too.
I absolutely love it. I actually love training speed climbing for the Olympics, which is something that surprises a lot of people. Initially, it was what put me off the idea of doing the Olympics. The fact when in Tokyo we did the combined, so it was all three disciplines together. A great way for us to be able to get into the games, and that's why it's changed now. Speed climbing deserves to be its own discipline. I maybe think boulder and lead deserve their own medals too, but hopefully we'll see that in the future.
Well, if you want to find more about this, yesterday's World Climbing Club show had an interview with the IFSC president, Marco Scalaris, in that, and he was discussing the fact that obviously it wasn't the ideal situation at the first games. We had limited medals. They had to come up with a compromise. And now as we progress towards LA in 28, we're hoping to separate the disciplines, and fingers crossed for that.
Definitely fingers crossed, although watching the lead and boulder together and seeing the athletes do both disciplines has, I think, stepped up both disciplines. So although it's not the situation we were hoping for, and that we do expect, or we hope that it will change and we'll get a medal set for each discipline, I do think it's great to watch, and we'll see that later in the competition, watching athletes go through the lead and boulder together. The rules are slightly different, the way it's scored is slightly different. We'll get to all that later. Today we're focusing on the lead. Speaking about that leader boulder event that's to come, both of our next athletes are sat in positions that are precarious. We've got Alexander Megos, he's sat in 15th, Miho Nanaka in 16th in the lead and boulder results, so their performance matters so much for them to get through to this next competition. It's only the top 20 athletes. So your result from lead and your result from boulder is crucial if you want to make that top 20, which both of those athletes do.
Yeah, absolutely. We have had a few athletes not quite performing as we'd expect, and we're thinking, like you said, with Miho not making the boulder, and also Toby, a disappointing round from him.
Yeah, big surprise for Toby there. I think, knowing that it's a long event, athletes like Miho and Toby really need to reset, refocus, and come into this competition today to do their best to kind of focus on the route that's in front of them. It's hard to do that when it's a long competition because your mind can wander to what's next. But if they don't perform well today, there is no what's next in this competition. Yes, it's important for future events, but they want to be in that lead and boulder, the event that's to come. So I hope they're both able, and the other athletes that it's important for, are able to draw their focus in to what's important. Toby's sitting a little higher in the lead and boulder results, so he looks a little safer maybe, having made that boulder semi-final, but he did finish lower down. His worst result of the season. He's a young athlete. He needs to kind of learn how to deal with that. I hope he's able to do that quickly. He does seem to have a sense of maturity about him. He's able to compose himself on the mat. He's able to try as hard as anybody else out there. So yeah, he's had a day to rest. We saw the women's boulder semi-finals and boulder finals yesterday. So the men have had a break. They've had that reset. Miho too, she wasn't in the women's semi-finals, so she's also had a rest day, and hopefully coming in fresh, coming in ready.
Yeah, it's a new day, isn't it? And they need to find something. Now, to let you know about the appeal, it's been rejected, so just 32 for Lucia Tarkas. So
yeah, a friend of mine messaged and said, how do the appeals work? How many do you get? It should be like cricket. You get 3 a
like
year,
a
and that's
VAR
all
system,
you get.
Yeah.
So yeah, shout out to Duncan for the cricket idea. But the athlete, you are able to make appeals, and you have to fill in a form and have that appeal handed in to the head judge, and that's how it works.
Yeah, the judges are saying that though the hand moved towards 33, there was no progression of movement of hips towards the next hole. So that's the grounds.
I told you climbing is all about the hips.
It is. I'm learning this, Shorty. You've taught me many things. And we're watching a replay here. We are still on the cleaning break. The women's route is so complicated. There's so much too clean that it's taking a long time.
It is really complicated, and I was interviewing one of the climbers that is yet to climb. I won't say who won, but I was interviewing them last night, and as I was chatting to her, her eyes were darting up behind me, and I was like, come on, can you at least give me some attention while I'm interviewing? And they were like, nope, all my focus is already shifted to lead. I am looking at that lead route. I am so excited about lead, which is great to see that passion, that enthusiasm.
Yeah, absolutely. The athletes have many things to think about this week.
The women's route looks so fun, and it's a different pace to the men's route. They're able to rest, they're able to shake out a little bit, able to enjoy the movements. Although it's awkward in places, I think you get to kind of have a little fight, have a little composure, have a little fight, have a little composure. It's a bit more stop-starty, whereas the men's is relentless. It seems to be all go, quick shakes. We're not seeing anyone hang around. Those holds are too bad to hang around on, so a different style.
Right, well, we are back underway. The routes have been cleaned, the athletes are ready. Miho Nanaka on the right, Alex Megas on the left. And as you said, an important round for both of these climbers.
Yeah, this feels like a tense moment.
It does. So Alex gets going. He's looking strong and fit, left shoulder taped up a little, maybe preventative. And he's going to have to keep things together down low. And over-gripping, I mean, we talked about it. Why? Because you'd think, you just have to hold on really, really hard, but that can get you more pumped, can't it?
Definitely, yeah. You want to save as much energy for when you need it. You don't want to be over-gripping, but also not under-gripping, otherwise you won't stay on the wall very long. That's over-gripping with the hands, but also the body, not having too much tension. Alex looking really relaxed here, actually, which is nice to see.
Yeah, he's calm, gets his knee bar in.
And Miho too, yeah, she's also looking relaxed, looking focused. You can see she's straightening her arm when she can, and then really deliberate movements from her.
Yeah, so nice work from both athletes. Alex does choose that early rest to shake out.
It feels more tense watching the men's route now, having seen athletes fall low down, especially Yoshiyuki, such a surprise from him. We know that slips are now possible. We did anyway, but having seen it can happen, and suddenly you feel I feel a lot more tension when watching because it's suddenly a reality that it's not a given to get through that section.
No, absolutely.
Just as the route setters said.
I don't think it'd be possible to watch this and not get sucked into what's going on because it's very visceral, really emotional. Alex cuts loose and a nice move as he flows through the purples and he's about to enter the yellow section, about halfway through the 40-degree overhang in the middle.
Miho flowing really smoothly through that section there. Her hips twisting and moving, a little tangle in the rope there, but she avoided it and she corrected that very quickly.
So she, nice and calm as she crosses through. And Alex as well looking good, but there's a couple of hard moves coming up for Alex.
And both athletes looking calm despite the arena feeling very tense, the music, the atmosphere. Not much cheering going on just yet. I think the athletes both will know that those sections have been done multiple times because there's not been much tension on them. Now they start to ramp it up with the cheering. You know, the athletes will know they're nearing the sections that are getting more difficult.
Yeah, and Alex having to work hard. You can see it in his face. And Miho brings the right hand into the big pocket, and there is a jib in there. And Alex needs to make sure of that move. That spat off a few people, but he's solid on it.
He is solid. He looks so secure there. I would love to see Alex make this next movement. I think we're going to. He just looks to have way more in the tank. He seems to have climbed much more efficiently than the other athletes.
Well, for the first time, you get to see this section. And the holds look big, but the body position is awkward and not much for the feet through here.
And lots of different ways through this section, so there's not one correct way. He's spinning around, heel above his head. He's now got a jib, so there is a little edge that he's holding in there. The crowd are loving this, and Miho sticking the pocket too, really efficiently through that section there. Again, she's climbing so well.
Yeah, both athletes nearing high points here, and it's great to see this men's section for the first time. There's tick marks for the jib. You can see it where his left hand is now. But this is a big move up towards that pocket.
And Miho nearing the high point. If she can stick this next hold, that's going to be so important for her. She's looking incredibly strong. Great work there. It's really solid in the shoulder. Thumb on. We lose Alex, but Miho, I believe, has the high point right now. She's going to clip and then cross under. Oh no, we've got Mia's the high point, sorry. So she's nearing Mia's high point.
Yeah, she's getting close towards it. Has to snatch for that. The shoulders and elbows are working hard here. Good work from Miho Nanaka.
She knows this is important, and that was a good fight. She wasn't able to recover on that pocket. She was too tired. Mia did get a good shake there, so it's looking very different to what Mia looked like, but the coach is looking happy, lots of clapping going on. She's currently sitting in second, I believe.
So that could be job done for Miho Nanaka. She needed a good climb, and I think she got it. And Alex as well, high point for him.
What a performance in both of those athletes.
I think Miho realises that she might have done enough there. Good work.
So that, I do think that will be enough to put her through to the leader boulder event that we've got to come. So I hope she's satisfied with that.
Yeah, she will fight again. Let's watch Alex when he fell. Kind of dropped out of this move on the edge of your camera there.
Oh, a big slip from him. His left hand blew out of that hold. I wonder if that was fatigue, if he was pulling too hard, if he was not able to get the right pressure through.
And let's watch Miho. Hand up towards the hold, try to get that plus, and we'll see if she's been awarded it.
Yeah, so she's currently in joint first.
Awesome.
She should be awarded the plus. She was definitely making a progressive movement. She didn't look like she was going to hold it, but there's no doubt that her hips were moving towards that hold in my mind. Alex, someone who would be looking to make a finals here, right? He's a lead specialist in his words, very, very accomplished boulderer as well. Miho maybe not looking to make the final here, but wanting to be quite high up. Or looking to make the final, but not someone we would naturally expect in that. Whereas Alex, coming off the back of 3 really strong performances in lead in the last 3 competitions.
Yeah, he's climbing well at the moment. Now, the crowd is going to go crazy here because not only is Oriane Berton on, which is very popular, but Nino Grunfelder. He has a huge reaction from the crowd. It's amazing. They scream his name.
As they should, you know. He's in the World Championships semi-finals.
Yeah, in home crowd. I mean, it's going to lift him for sure. And he had a great qualifying round to get to this position in the semis.
And Oriane Berton, another athlete that was competing in the women's boulder final last night, had a great performance.
Yeah, and she's one of those who likes to climb quick. She's, by her own admission, she likes boulder a little bit more. Makes those early clips. And Nino being sure of the feet through here, but a little bit of hesitation with the sequence. Now drops into the shoulder. And Oriane will enter the bouldering part of this route.
Oriane climbing quickly, like you said.
Yeah, she doesn't like to hang around. It's something she jokes about a little bit. Makes the clip round her knee. And Nino gets the knee bar in. Not choosing for the no-hand rest, but a good shake for him. Oriane with those toes and heels buried in the pockets.
And Nino understandably taking his time through that section. It could be seen to maybe not be the right thing to do, but with this section being so precarious, so risky, it's definitely worth taking your time in order to not make big mistakes like we've seen other athletes do. Oriane able to climb really quickly because she feels comfortable on the movements. It's much more secure climbing for her.
Yeah, and she's through that difficult section pretty easily.
Also, I expect wanting to save some energy. The quicker she can climb, the less pump she's going to get. She's surely feeling some fatigue after a two brutal boulder rounds yesterday, semis and finals.
Yeah, the different tactics for those athletes in play here. All right, Nino makes the clips. He enters the yellow. We'll go from right to left.
Big slap up for him.
Fortunate for him.
He looked tired there. It's a really powerful move. Massive engagement on the bicep. Looking down at his hands, he looked like he wasn't a dry fire. It was definitely sweaty out there. It's definitely getting warmer in here too.
Yeah, the air conditioning was pumping this morning, but you're right. As the crowd come in, you can feel the heat rising. And Oriane is having a rest and a little wave towards the crowd, I think. Part shake, part wave there. And that's what she's holding on to. Those jibs adjust the hands. And there's a thumb catch later on for that pinch. Look at that heel position. I mean, she's not on very much. And you can see Nino leaving the stage down on the boulder mat as we stick with Oriane. Making this rest work. Making
it work. I was just about to say that myself. I love it when the climbers prove the route setters wrong.
Yes.
And so strong through that as well. A really high heel, which allowed her hips to stay directly underneath her arms, making that bump again work for her.
Yeah, it's a powerful move, but she got something back in order to do that. Right, reaching through towards the tick mark. Tiny section of that hold to hold on to. Bumps the left foot up.
Suddenly looking less accurate, looking tired.
Yeah,
she's still fighting hard.
Yeah, those smears means you can't really take the pressure off the arms.
And sticking that hold is really important.
It is, and she drops her feet down.
Got through that first crux.
Well, look at those grips. It's outrageous, isn't it? Remember how overhanging we lose Oriane as we see the hand fire off the hold.
But I think she was just gassed out there. She's done a lot of climbing in the last 2 days. She looks tired. I'd say she looks unsatisfied with that, but it's going to be enough for her to get through to the lead and boulder event that we've got to come. Potentially enough for a finals place here. We don't know yet. She'll be sitting quite high up, I imagine, in third right now. Yeah, she's in third with 34 plus. Meer, Krampl and Miho Nanaka in 36 plus have been joint first.
Just to let you know this appeal thing, Colin Duffy's score of 26 plus is being appealed by another team. They're claiming he's only got 26, so we'll keep you updated on that. Let's watch Oriane again, yeah, towards the high point of the route.
Just looking fatigued there. She threw her hips in. Really impressive climbing from her in the way she moves. She moves her body in a really efficient way. You could see she did that move in a really good, efficient way, but just didn't have the beans to hold on anymore. I think the disappointment, it comes from the fact that she was tired and wanted to have shown more had she not been so fatigued.
Absolutely. Well, Aoi Yorikuzi is on from Japan, and then Molly Thompson-Smith on the right. She had a good boulder round, got into semis, but really lead is where her current focus is, and Molly has climbed well all year.
She had her best boulder round ever.
It was brilliant, wasn't it? So cool to see it.
And what a time to really step that up. I'm going to do my very best not to be biased here, but come on, Molly.
I think you're allowed a little bit of that. It's fair enough. Sean, of course, part of that Team GB, or used to be, has trained and climbed with Molly a lot over the years. So Molly needs to keep focused though through here. This is her specialism. This is where she's the strongest at.
Yeah, so she loves lead climbing and she loves a hard route. So I think she's going to enjoy this if she can keep composed, stay accurate, and not falter on the easier moves. I think we'll see a great fight from Molly. She's such a strong climber.
Yeah, she is indeed. a similar style to Vita Lucan, for example, and I know how much she enjoys watching them climb. And now she's trying to work at this clip out. It's a funny old place.
It is. It looked like an awkward quick clip and maybe not the most efficient way to do it, but she was fast, which is useful. She's opting for a different kind of set of movements here, not having her feet in the pocket. She's changed that now. She looks very comfortable. Often when you're strong, you can spend time doing things different ways. So it's good to see that she's not wasting time. She's not kind of like the route setters were saying. She's not trying to show off her strength. She's just moving through the movement, resting when she feels comfortable.
She is, and she's cleanly through on that. Bumps the hand up to the sloper. Ao as well is efficient as he climbs into the purples. Looks to the foot, looks down at the foot. He's going to do a big move out, cuts loose for a moment, brings the left foot in nicely.
Yeah, moving really efficiently through these purples, and he's coming into the yellow now.
Yeah, hits that, swings out, using those shoulders, and Molly as well, underneath that black hold. It's hard to see it, there's a hold under there.
He's chalking here where we just lost Nino, which shows you how impressive some of these athletes are when they find their flow and when they find positions that work for them, because these moves are insanely difficult. When you're able to rest and chalk where others have fallen, it just shows the caliber of athlete and where they're at on this climb. If they climb efficiently and smoothly, they'll have the beans to figure it out much more easily.
They will. Molly gets a splits move, bumps the right foot into the foothold.
She's looking a little bit uncomfortable. I hope we see her settle into it a little bit more. You can see here she's kind of like powering through this move and staying really strong through the arms there, but hopefully can take a breath, take a minute. You can see she's composing herself now, having a look upside down. I'm sure that's going to make a great picture.
It is. Look at Ao as well as he makes progression.
Ao chalking on the move again, where we've lost so many climbers. Really, really strong from him.
It is, and now he's entering the part where Alex made it too, but he's not quite got the reach. Needs to
we
adjust
saw
the
Alex
feet.
adjust the feet before going up to that hold. Unfortunately, you didn't see that until after a couple of attempts. Hopefully that's not taken too much out of him. What he's holding now, he's standing on no texture. He's toe hooking a jib, but his hands are just on that big blue volume. There is nothing in there. His toes are on a jib where the tick marks you can see. He's going to reach to that. There's no obvious way through the sequence. The climbers have to figure it out and make their own way through. Unfortunately, we don't see him do that. After all that hard climbing, to get to a section where there isn't an obvious sequence is really quite mean of the route setters. I'm going to say that. I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah, he fell backwards out of those big holes. Now Molly is nearing the high point as well. She needs to rotate through here.
She's looking strong. She looks like she has so much left in the tank.
Well, look at the scores. So 36 plus is where she's aiming for. She's currently on, hard to see, I think that's 35 now.
Really solid through that. Great work with the feet, twisting the hips in. So solid through that move. And she, I believe, has the high point now. She's going to work her feet up into the beefy, burly section. I think Molly's going to enjoy this. She's definitely strong enough too. Yeah,
she's just a couple of meters under the head wall lip now.
She's looking to cross over, but I think she wants that right hand. Just a little bit of misreading from her there. She looks disappointed. She had more to give. Her body was so far to the left. She got sucked into that left-hand hold. She needed to match and I think shoulder the right hold, what she tried to do, but she wasn't in the right position. Had she read that more efficiently from the ground, I think we would have seen a lot more moves. You know, she's untying her knot. She's not struggling to untie her knot here. She had so much more left to give. It's so unfortunate for Molly, but she's sitting in first place right now. She doesn't know that. I think she might have a smile on her face when she realizes that she is, but still frustrated.
Yeah, she will go towards the edge of the arena and check the scores. That was Ao's fall. Not much for the feet. Peeled off backwards, but nearing Alex's score. And Colin Duffy's score will stand on 26 plus, so the appeal to upgrade his score was rejected.
And yeah, unfortunate for Ao, he looked like he, again, had a lot more to give, but just misread the sequence or couldn't quite figure it out. Both Molly and Ao kind of coming down, looking like they had more to give. A hard place to be in a league competition. Absolutely.
Well, on the right, a lead specialist, Manon Healy, comes on. Great to see her doing so well on the World Cups. And on the left, Yannick Floé. He had a couple of moments of frustration during the boulder. Has a good, calm mindset at the moment, though, and he begins his climb. as Manon just rereads the climb, showing her experience to take that time. You've got 40 seconds to have a look at the route.
Yeah, 40 seconds, then you'll be ushered over to the wall to get going if you spend any longer.
Someone asked me about that, whether anyone had ever been sort of like kicked out, disqualified for taking the time, and apparently it doesn't really happen. You can get encouraged, but...
You get encouraged, and as far as I'm aware, I think your time just starts counting down.
Yes, I mean, yeah, it's never been a yellow card incident, put it like that.
Not as far as I'm aware.
No. So Manon is underway. On the right, and there is Yannick on the left. He will climb quickly as well.
Yeah, you said Manon much more focused on lead generally. Yannick previously has been much more focused on boulder, but we've seen him have some really impressive lead results.
Yeah, he's certainly got that in the tank. We'll have to see where his endurance is at this week. High with the left, he's got to get that clip in. That puts a toe in order to do it.
Yeah, it looks like a very, very risky position, but he's happy, he's comfortable there. It's clearly working well. Trusts his shoes for sure.
Yeah, the rubber on the top of the shoes used for that purpose. And Manon is into the pockets as well.
Also, that was a really impressive move from a hip flexor strength perspective. I'm going to start geeking out again.
He was leaning backwards, trusting the toe, and he's quickly through the first part.
Quickly, solidly, he needs to just stay composed, stay accurate on those hand placements.
Yeah, Manon rotating, good work from her as well. She'll bump up towards that blue sloper. And now Yannick had a moment there where he had to work a bit harder. You could see it in his face. Looks that clip in the middle. He'll now move towards the left. Exciting stuff. Manon, slight hesitation with the clip, now gets it in. As a commentator, it always makes my heart flutter when an athlete does that.
Yeah, definitely, but she's in a comfortable position. She had time to figure that out, and I wasn't too worried, but yeah, you don't want to waste energy getting clips in. I think Yannick has missed this clip though, so he needs to figure it out from here or go back. It's gonna cost him though.
It is, he's very low on it. You can see him looking up, but it's above his head in an awkward place. And he's in trouble and he does fall. Takes a big swing down, so a slight mistake from Yannick.
So this is part of lead climbing. The clipping is really crucial to get right and to make sure you're being efficient with it. You don't want to be missing clips and having to climb back down. Doing extra moves on a lead ball is not something anybody ever needs to do, unless you're training, of course. But yeah, it's so unfortunate that we're seeing climbers miss that, but it's part of the game. You know, they need to clip the clip draws. That's part of what we're doing here. Absolutely is. And Manon, she had that moment where she slapped him with the left hand, made it work, but a bit of a heart-stopping moment there. Yeah, and look at that breathing. It looked quite spicy for Manon there. It looked like she had to fight harder than she wanted to hold that position. But showing the route setters that rest is really quite comfortable for her, and hopefully getting enough back for her to show what she wants to show in the next section. Yeah, I think she knew it was a risk, but now has had moments to get something back. And in lead, you sometimes see little mistakes like that. They make an impact later on, because although it doesn't look maybe like a huge moment, it builds. And these routes are unforgiving. They are going to test you. You are going to be pushed to your absolute limit, whether it's in your ability to route read or whether it's in your ability to stay on the wall. You're going to be pushed. So any wasted energy is going to cost you significantly. Absolutely. Well, Manon is through that section, and she will begin to approach. She's past the first crux and now heading in. This move, it seems to be the second crux of the route. We lost a lot of athletes here. It's all going to be about where she places her feet. Her left foot isn't on a jib, it's just smearing. And she does fall, and a slap down onto her thighs for that. So frustration for Manon Healy. Holding her left hip as well, and yeah, just disappointment as she looks back up again. Yeah, shaking the head. She's not happy with that. No, she's not. We talked about the emotions. There's a lot of them going around this stadium, heightened. And so many athletes here as well, competing, trying to get a place. Also, these athletes, they'll be sat behind the wall, so they'll be sat waiting. They'll see the clock ticking down. They'll know how long an athlete's been on the wall. I expect that the athletes think, especially on the women's route, that there's a much higher high point because of the amount of time the athletes are taking to get there. Because the route is complex, athletes are spending a lot of time resting. It's really difficult. So I wonder if Manon knows where the high point is, if she knows how close she was to that high point, or if she's just disappointed with where she's at, because she's only about halfway up the wall, an athlete that would normally be expecting to be up on that head wall, to be fighting for a finals place, but you don't know where that high point is.
Although we're looking at, if you look at the women's routes, the quick draws swinging, that is an indication for the athletes. Sometimes they can sort of work it out. I know some don't like to look and some do really enjoy it, but it's personal.
Yeah, for sure. And also, sometimes the quick draws stop swinging really quickly. Yeah. Sometimes they swing for a really long time, especially in outdoor venues when it's windy. So it is an indicator. You can get a little bit of information that way. But it's not going to give you too much information.
No, it is not. Well, that is our current Olympic champion, Alberto Jiménez Lopez. Those Olympic rings tattooed on his body, and a gold medal for him at the Olympics. And he'd love to get back there again. And then on the right, Vita Lukin, an exciting climber to watch. Has a similar style to Molly in the way she does things.
Coming off the back of her first World Cup gold medal as well.
Yeah, and that was an incredible moment. I spoke to her after it. She just couldn't really believe that she was there. It was really wonderful. So both of the athletes climbing in sync through the bottom of the wall at the moment.
This year we've seen athletes be very specific in which events they choose to go to because of the way the Olympic selection works. So we talk about athletes taking their first gold medal, and we talk about different athletes doing well at different events, and it's been interesting to see who chooses to do what, who's chosen which pathway through the events this year. I feel like there's a lot of focus on this event. So with the World Cups, there's points awarded. With this World Championships, the points are worth double. So it is a hugely important event for any athlete looking to qualify for the Olympic qualification series, which is to come next year. It's obviously impossible to know whether you're going to get a spot at the World Championships or at a Continental Championships. So yeah, it's really important to be focusing on that OQS if you're looking for the Olympics.
Absolutely, yeah, there's a few opportunities for them to get those tickets, the Continentals as well coming up. All right, Alberto falls low, and that will be a disappointment for him. Tried to go up for the pinch on the dish and slipped or fell.
A surprise there, really insecure move. It just shows that when we saw Ao chalking on that move earlier, how impressive that was. Alberto just didn't look comfortable in that position. He didn't seem to find a body position that allowed him to make that movement smoothly, so he had to go almost quite jerky, it looked like, and yeah, wasn't comfortable when he hit the hold and wasn't able to stay on. Yeah. So all eyes on Vita now. Yeah,
exactly. Well, she's carrying on. Yeah, Alberto, Spain's youngest gold medalist. And yeah, great past Olympics for him, but disappointment. Right, now let's see as she works her way through. Head flicking to the right, looking towards that pocket.
There is so much to think about on a lead route. You're looking at where you're going, where your foot placements need to be, making sure you're getting those clips, or you want to be making sure you're getting those clips. With climbing on moves like this, you're having to process what's coming, but also have all the different ideas of options if it doesn't feel quite right. So the mind is working hard. Most of it will be subconscious, but they will be taking as much information in as they can, which is why you see her eyes darting up and down, her head moving, her hip adjusting, her legs moving around. She's so strong, makes that work despite her hips throwing underneath her there. Again, pulling through off that foot, just so much strength.
Yeah, it is. She's sitting right down on that right foot, crosses through. There's the scoreboard. Molly is leading the way at the moment. Vita Lukin down in 11th on 30.
And on the scoreboard, you can see the top 20, but there are 26 athletes. So we've not got 2 athletes to go. We've still got 8 athletes to go. Not guaranteed a final spot for Molly just yet. Not yet.
She will be nervously watching in the crowd. Vita's score upgrading slowly. She's in 5th and out. Yeah, lots of similar scores at the top spot. All right, now she's really fighting.
Vita was in such an awkward position there and really powered through. It wasn't the most efficient way, but she did make it work for her. So great to see that she's still fighting. If she can get this pocket, I think she'll get a little bit back, but she's not looking comfortable right now.
She's not. Back and forth with the feet. She's going to have to cross through with the right. Tried. Almost had it for a second. And as you said, if she had just locked that in, she could have had another shake. No go for her, and she's in 4th with 35. Yeah, that scoreboard flicking around, our crane there in the background. Yeah, that feeling, isn't it? I mean,
she knows that wasn't enough as well.
Yeah.
Right now she is in 4th with 35 plus, but there are 3 athletes ahead of her and 8 athletes to go. So it's looking unlikely that she'll stick in that top 8, but definitely it's still possible.
Absolutely, yeah, anything can happen in this, and we've seen early slips, and let's watch an early slip. Let's find out what happened with Alberto. Didn't look comfortable, as you said, went up with the right, and just awkward, that left hand seemed to be pulling him out from the wall.
Yeah, his body position was all off there. It just looked so awkward for him to be in his crossed hands. A lot of climbers we've seen twist their shoulders, their left shoulder into the wall to be able to get more out of that undercut, so their left hand, which allows them when they go up to stay nice and tight into the wall. You could see he was totally front on. He was trying to change his foot around to get into a comfortable position, but he didn't twist. He just didn't look comfortable today.
No, he didn't seem settled. Well, that was his story. Annie Sanders on the right from Team USA. She gets going and she will be relishing this moment. She has endurance for days. She can just hang on forever. And then on the left, Yu-Chen Song from Korea for the men.
Both athletes only 16.
Yes, and I said the other day, Annie, a birthday a couple of weeks ago. So 16 now.
Yeah, and Yu-Chan as well, only 16. It's amazing to see such young athletes climbing with such strength, such maturity, and really giving it their all. You know, these athletes have got a lot of events in them for many, many years to come, but all of this is great experience, and regardless of their age, they are owning it out there. It's really, really cool to see.
Yeah, and it's nice because some athletes struggle with the change from the youth circuit to the senior circuit. It's a different thing. The pressure is more. You're suddenly climbing against your heroes, and some struggle to make that transition, but both of these doing well to do that. Tomoa Narasaki's score is another appeal. I'm letting you know all these appeals because it's great to have this information. And he's been downgraded from 26 plus to 26. Oh no, that's what he's being. That's what the appeal's against. So he might be downgraded to 26.
So that will be another team appealing against his score. So not his team. His team would, I doubt, appeal to bring him down a spot.
I do actually have the information of who's doing the appeals, but I don't think it's worth me telling. I think I might cause controversy within the climbing world.
Let's not share that.
Exactly. All right, Annie is bumping that right hand, cuts loose and makes the swing.
But that's not a criticism against the coaches who are making the appeals. That is their job. That's what they're there for. And it's a really important part. I think it's good that we're talking about it. Those appeals happen, those scores can change, and the fact that we have the information is really great. It's great to share that. If you have the app, so if you're looking at the scores on the app, the climbers under appeal will show in yellow, so that explains that too. Yeah, it's part of the game, it's part of sport, it's 100%. Part of every sport, and it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Part of the game. Right, Annie is upside down in that really cool position, which I would love to be in across this crowd.
And Yu-Chan straight through the section where we lost Alberto. Not looking to struggle just yet, gets the clip, gets the crucial clip that we've seen people miss. It's so unfortunate we've seen people miss that, but part of the game.
Yeah, I'm looking at the angle of the pocket with the left hand he was in there. I think that's why it's so difficult to climb back, because it's more positive when you're on the right of it and easier to clip. For
sure, and just really insecure, those holds through that section. It's a hard section to climb up, let alone climb down.
Yeah, Annie pulls up through. She'll make this long quick draw clip, and she is looking calm and collected at the moment. Look at Yu-Chan as well.
Annie just turning around to have a little look at the time there. But Yu-Chan making quick work here.
Great angle to see inside of those big blue volumes. For the first time, really, we get to see that purple jib that's there. And there, hits it, but slips.
So you can see just how bad that first big blue volume is. You saw how good it was there with the jib, or how bad it was there with the jib. For the first one, there's absolutely nothing in there to help them. So they are just holding on to like really wide, slopey.
And a good clip from Annie there. A clipping position, if you're new to climbing, it's one of those things that when you start off it feels really hard to do, but the more you practice it, it gets better and better, and the athletes will be looking for smooth transitions between those clips. Annie in a splits position will rest here, but this is a powerful move coming up for her. Needs to get the right hand in and then slap in with the left.
Annie competed in the boulder semi-final yesterday, so she will be feeling some fatigue from that, I imagine. It was an intense semi-final. There were some really physical boulders. Maybe it's warmed her up and she feels ready now. Perhaps,
yeah. But she is taking her time on this move.
We've not seen many people rest in this position for a long period of time. She obviously feels quite comfortable there. Or maybe there's some nerves about this next section. She seems to be second-guessing herself, reaching out to that small hold, which is the hold that she's going to slap into with her left. Opting to go back and maybe make an adjustment here with where her feet are.
Yeah, for a second she looked up towards the blue footholds, maybe thinking about them, but yeah, she's not looking comfortable here.
Not looking comfortable at all, no. It's just a surprise for Annie. She's a strong boulderer. You'd think she'd make light work of this section, but maybe it's just not feeling quite right.
Yeah, it seems like that right leg is kind of in the way because she needs to reach around it, and you can see her trying to drop the knee out the way to reach. She keeps wanting to go up towards those footholds. Yeah,
so she can maybe drop her knee, so right knee to point towards the ground, but she's keeping it high here, which is stopping her. There you go, she's dropping the leg down now, which is going to help. She wants to bump right hand again to the slope, which she hasn't done yet.
No, she hasn't.
We've seen a few climbers make this work, so hopefully it will for her, but she's going to have to take a big cut loose now.
Yeah, and his arms crossed is awkward, so Annie in a bit of trouble early on, and the time, of course, ticking down. Has that left heel in and will need to rest again after that.
I expect she's going to need to rest. It's going to be very physical. She's turning to check the time. I imagine she's not got much left on the clock. She's spent a long time coming through this section. Not what she would have been expecting heading into this route.
No, it's not. So she's got to get a move on here. Gets the right hand up towards the clip. How will she make this bump into the pocket? Oh, yeah, we've seen this before. So you touch it but come back down. And that left heel, precarious position.
She's opted to take it off. Like you said, it was very precarious. Makes the campus work really impressive after so much time spent on the wall already. She's going to have to get a wiggle on now.
Yeah, she is. Endless endurance, but everyone has their limits. Micro shakes as she crosses through.
Endless endurance, but almost that doesn't matter when the time is ticking down. If she had infinite time to try this route, it might be a different story, but the time is ticking.
That's a good point.
She's crimping here, so her thumb is not on the thumb catch on the right hand. So I hope she's able to hit that hold. I think we haven't seen anyone manage that move, I don't believe, without putting the thumb catch on. I think there was a lot going on for Annie there. She was tired, the clock was ticking down, it was very tense.
Yeah, everything seemed to sort of spiral for her, didn't it? She had that awkward move. That Tomoa appeal has been rejected, just to let you know.
And if I'm right, I'm almost certain I'm right, it means that Molly's in the final. So there's only 7 athletes to go. She's currently sitting in first. I'm trying to not get too excited or be too biased, but...
Good news for Molly then. Well, this seemed to happen ages ago because of how long Annie was on the wall, but Yun Chang falling on the big blue volumes.
It should also mean that we'll see Alexander Magos in finals, which is really, really cool.
There you go, Alex fans out there. Enjoy that one. And that final is coming tonight, men and women at the same time. Not exactly the same time, but in the same finals rather than split. Right, Adam Ondra is on. Big reaction.
Crowd favourite, and understandably so.
Absolutely. And then Jessie Pilz on the right. Jessie looking very comfortable on a lead rope recently, in good form. Right, Adam, let's see what you can do. He didn't get into the boulder, was just outside of that. And again, one of those athletes who's really picked and choose his competitions. He came back in Prague for his home comp, and I asked him, why would you want to put that pressure on yourself for the home competition? He said, well, I just had to. I wanted to climb there, and he was relishing all that attention. I've never had to wait longer for an interview. I actually had to queue to get towards the man. It was unreal.
Yeah, he's done so much for this sport, and it's really nice that he's so passionate about it still and so proud of what he's achieved, and also so honoured to compete in front of his home crowd. The fact that he did come back for that, what a moment to come back, a very intense moment to choose. But it's Adam Ondra. He can deal with that.
He's dealt with the big stages before, hasn't he? All right, so Jessie on the right, Adam on the left. Czech Republic team is really cool. We've got Eliska Adamovska climbing in that team. She's had an up and down season.
Both previous world champions.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Oh, look at this from Adam. Gets that left knee locked in, no hands rest, shaking out. Just casual up there.
Casual and confident.
Yes. Face kind of look at this, it's brilliant.
Quite aggressive shaking.
It is, isn't it?
Seems risky. I'm holding my breath for him.
No, don't shake yourself out.
Don't shake too much.
Adam, one of the taller climbers on the circuit.
Jessie climbing quite quickly here, not something we're used to seeing, but I think she's been trying to up her pace a little bit recently. We've seen her make huge progress with some of her weaknesses in bouldering, which is really, really great to see. And, you know, she's in her happy place on the lead route.
Yeah, she is. The Austrian team staying in the hotel I'm in, and they have a breakfast this morning, all of them every single morning together, a real community feel. So Adam shakes that, little micro shakes as he goes through the yellow, really secure. We've seen other athletes cutting loose through here, but Adam just very static. And Jessie is through the complicated movement part. Adam with a high left foot in order to make this clip.
But looking up at the clip, I'm always holding my breath every time we see an athlete get to that position now. I want to shout, like, don't forget to clip. People can't do that. Just so everyone knows, there's no communication between the coaches and the athletes other than encouragement. And yeah, I'd love to see a comp where you got to communicate with your coaches, especially in bouldering. If you could have your coach on the mat, it'd be great.
Give me little tips along the way, yeah. Yeah, those coaches, such a hard job. Cause you get your athlete to that point and then all you can do is sit back and watch.
You say that, but some of these athletes don't have coaches.
Yeah,
they're coaches that are here at the event aren't necessarily their personal coaches, so it's a different kind of setup to what coaching is normally referred to. Yeah, it's a different one, and it's all very personal to each athlete, how they work with their coach, what coaches they work with, if they even choose to work with a coach. You say coaches get their athletes to here, athletes get themselves to here, the coaches maybe help a little bit along the way.
Yeah, I think what I meant is they spend time in ISO, and then once you're out on the mats, that's all they can do.
Yeah,
they have to back away.
They have to back away. They're in the coaches bubble, the coaches that are here. I don't envy any of the coaches in that space, but Adam, all focus on him right now as he makes this light work, hitting the high point here, looking so smooth through that really, really difficult blue section. And the crowd, they want to see what's next to come. They want to get a look at this head wall, and this is the closest we've seen to it yet.
Hey, I want to see it. And we're approaching that metal, and the metal line indicates the separation of the head wall.
Jumping back to Jessie, she is resting on this crux move right here. She looks solid, she looks strong, and really composed still.
Adam gets the heel into the pocket. Jessie as well shaking out. Oh, this is exciting here as we approach high points. Adam not really seeming to struggle at the moment. That was a moment, as I said.
Commentator curse.
Exactly, he went up and it was a bit further than he thought, I think.
Yeah, a bit, and the position I think wasn't comfortable for him. I think he'll make a bit of an adjustment now. See, his right leg is pushing on the wall this time. He's much more deliberate in that movement.
Yeah, now crosses through.
Puff cheeks.
Yeah, he's into the head wall territory. Look at Jessie as well as she rotates through the pocket.
Really smooth for Jessie hitting that pocket. Getting the shake that I think is definitely needed for this next section.
So Adam jumps and falls, but that's the high point for him, and he's done enough. And Jessie finding this clever rest, dropping back down to the crimp.
The fact that she's dropping back down and spinning around in this section is insanely impressive. This is one of the crux moves. We've lost a lot of athletes on that move. So yeah, she's just back and forth in those holds. You can see how much she's using her hips. She's really twisting, drop knee, back and forth. And then yeah, really nice straight arms, giving her a bit of extra strength heading into this next section, and we hope she reads it well. I think she needed to head out right here. It looks like you need to get your foot up, really roll over, head in hands. It looks like she knows she made a mistake, maybe had more to give, but will be enough for a finals place if I am correct.
There we go. Well, the crowd, I think, are telling both athletes that fact. Look at the reaction, really cool.
Great reaction and great climbing from both the athletes. Unfortunately, Jessie looked like she had more to give. Adam, I think, looked like he was pretty gassed out at that point, puff cheeks, trying hard, but amazing to see a first look at the head wall, and the route setters seem to have nailed it again. You know, we've seen athletes kind of falling in the mid sections. It looked like maybe the route had been way overcooked for quite a long period of time through the semi-final, so I think they'll be kind of breathing a sigh of relief right now.
Yes, we always like to see at least one top, so at least we get to talk about the whole route.
Or at least the top section.
The top section, exactly. But this is where Jessie fell. She got high right foot, and that foot sliding off that top of the volume.
The route setting for the lead is so difficult because they only have the one route, right? They have had two groups in the qualification. They can't go to count back. They don't want to be seeing ties. Yes, it's great to see a top, but we don't want to see 10 tops and it come down to time or different ways to separate them. So yeah, I genuinely don't know how they do it. It is such a difficult job. Climbing is one of the few sports, I believe there's only one other sport where athletes don't get to practice what they compete on, so what they perform on. Both boulder and lead, obviously for speed, it's always the same route, it doesn't change. But boulder and lead, these athletes have never seen this before. They did an observation period, but before today, they didn't know what this route was. The route setters couldn't put the athletes on it and test it, see how it might go. So I think in modern pentathlon, in horse riding, that's the only time an athlete ever competes on a challenge or a course that they've not practiced. But as for every other sport in the world, they get to practice. They have a practice period. They have a time period where that happens. Climbing's the only one where you have to go. Please correct me if I'm wrong, send me a message, but I am yet to find one, and I've been trying for about a decade now.
We should do a crossover with modern pentathlon. That'd be great. We'll get their athletes in here and we'll send you guys over there. Right, Jesse Gruber is on the left from the USA, and we talk about styles. He has such a fascinating style, that man. It scares me every time I watch him climb, but he can hang on when you think he's about to fall. And then on the right, Nanoha Kume from Japan. She's underway. Nanoha with a left toe in order to get herself into that pocket, and Jesse will be precise down low. He'll know there's a couple of risky moves down here.
Yeah, so Jesse climbing quite slowly, really quite slowly, being deliberate. He needs to be careful with his foot there, see how it's quite close to the clip. I don't imagine that he'll suffer an appeal for that, but that's something to look out for sure. Yeah,
and Jesse occasionally struggles with time, so he's one of those who just needs to pick up the pace every now and again. But this men's route is sending people down before the time runs out, so it shouldn't really be a problem. But just keep an eye on that.
Potentially like he might know that because he's really being deliberate in his movement. Climbing a lot slower than we normally see Jesse. He isn't one of the faster climbers, but this seems even quite slow by his pace standards.
Yeah, so working his way into the routes. On the other hand, then, Nanoha Kume is climbing quite quickly here.
Yeah, she is. She's making really quick progress through this, looking very strong, not seeming to struggle through any of these moves just yet. She'll have a nice straight arm for this clip now, I expect, reach through. Looking really comfortable, great position with her open hips there, sat on her foot, lots of weight going through her feet, not wasting any energy at all so far.
No, she's not. She's resting with those straight arms, as you say. Jesse, I mean, this is the thing with Jesse, you just don't know. Is he pumped? Is he fine? Man's got try hard, and he just grinds his way through. He refuses to let go sometimes, but he's got to do some big moves here.
He's got some grit.
Yeah,
Seems to be able to access that extra try hard.
Now, he's got to be careful though. That quick draw is now awkwardly below him. He's got to bunch himself up, and he is in a bit of trouble here.
He's in big trouble here, really big trouble. This is not a good hold that he's gone up for. Hopefully he's able to recover this. He's going to get a drop knee in.
Oh, that's smart, though. He's worked it out. Not ideal.
Smart, and he's double clipping, so he's clipping both at the same time, being efficient. But he's now resting on a hold that's one of the worst holds on the climb, a hold that spat many climbers off already. Not the ideal resting position, but really impressive that he was able to recover that. Unfortunate that he had to, but great to see him work his way out of it. Yeah,
Jesse, why'd you do this to us? He's carrying on though, cuts loose, and look at Nanoha Kume upside down, 2 heels in.
2 heels in, just totally chilling. She's not even got her hand on the jib in that big yellow hole. She's just bumped to it now, heeling. It looks like she's maybe for the first time looking like she's not sure what to do. She climbed very confidently through the start and is now kind of looking around. Her eyes are darting. Seems like this section here, it's just not a comfortable place, so it's comfortable to rest, but then getting out of it is the hard bit.
Yeah, she does sometimes make little route reading errors. It's part of her climbing. We've seen her occasionally do that, where she just gets herself into an awkward position. Hopefully she hasn't done it here. Jesse's still on those yellow holds.
Very different on the right here. She took the pocket with the left hand, pulled it really high on the crimp and went left hand again. We haven't seen any climber do that, but it looked perfect for her and didn't seem to slow her down in the slightest.
No, both athletes trying new things. Jesse just looks like he's, again, in trouble here. Not the best body position to do these moves, and looks a bit stuck, and he falls.
It was a foot pop there, I'm pretty sure, for Jesse. Really unfortunate there. He just didn't seem to find a good flow. Even from the very start, he was struggling. He didn't seem comfortable.
Yeah, both athletes suffering with similar kind of little errors there that made a big impact later on. So they are down and done. Potentially outside as well of the score needed.
That might have made things a little bit more exciting in the women's, because I believe we've only got 5 climbers to go, which would put the 3rd position into finals. We currently have 2 athletes, so Miho and Meer are tied in 3rd position. Potentially we could have a 9-athlete final. I could be chatting total rubbish, but I'm quite confident in this. And then in the men's, that should see Adam, Alex and Ao in the final.
All right, well, that's the story of
Subject
the semi-final.
to appeals.
Of course, yeah,
and
these might
me
change.
Being wrong.
Adam Mondra leads the way, though, with 39 plus. He got into the head wall, high point from him. Alex Magos, seems like ages ago he climbed 34 on the big volumes. And we will now... I think we're having a look at Jesse. Yeah, he just got into that position and then foot swap, but he was all over the place in terms of positioning there.
Yeah, we see Jesse fight so hard on routes often, and it looked like he wasn't able to showcase that. It seems like quite a bouldery route, a very physical route, both for the men and the women. I think the kind of more endurance fight climbing is coming later. We've not managed to see much of that, but both of these climbers, very well experienced, or I say experienced, it feels like Toby is experienced. He's a young athlete, his first year on the circuit, but he's had his fair share of finals. He's won a World Cup gold medal, and Laura has again been in finals previously. She is an experienced athlete, so yeah, it'd be great to see what they can do here.
It will indeed, yeah. I saw Toby's parents sitting in the press room this morning, and they said they haven't really been able to talk to Toby for a few days because he was disappointed from that boulder round. So this is an important moment for him, and it's great to see him on a lead rope.
It is, and also it makes sense that he's disappointed. He had his worst result of his season in the boulder round here, worst result being 19th. Still not a bad result by any stretch of the imagination, but he wants to be in this lead and boulder event that's coming. He's trained for that. He's been building up to it. It's been a long, hard season, but every comp he seems to be getting better and better. I really hope he's been able to reset, refocus. He's got so much to give this sport, and I hope we're able to see that on this route today.
Absolutely. So that's Toby's task ahead of him, and Laura is about to cross through here. And Laura's one of those climbers, she a bit like I does, she finds her own unique ways through sections.
Yeah, definitely. She's as we see her spinning upside down. She's doing the right sequence here. We've seen a lot of athletes not choose to kind of put their feet above their head, but she's climbing efficiently, which is great to see. I say that as she takes her feet off and campuses through. Not efficient, but working for her.
All right, so Toby is looking okay on the purples here. He's got that grit behind him as well.
We've seen Laura struggle on really dynamic moves on lead routes recently. There isn't a huge dyno here, so I think she's going to be best pleased to have read the route and seen that there isn't anything crazy, anything wild, and she just can really, I hope, get into a rhythm where she can keep trying and keep fighting and display her best self on this route.
Yeah, you're right, I think it's a route that should suit her.
Toby just getting in the clip that Jesse missed previously, so good to see that, can kind of breathe a sigh of release as he hits that.
Yeah, twisting into
looking
that
uncomfortable
cold.
there. He looked like he wanted to go dynamically, and then halfway through the movement stopped and went static, which I think is what saved him there. We've seen athletes go dynamic to that hold, hit it, be surprised with how bad it is, and then fall off. But yeah, Toby showing maturity in his movement. Yeah,
it is, and Toby, has come through in recent years, and everyone's talking about him, but he's still new to this game, and he's got a lot to learn from it.
Definitely, yeah. Only 18 years old, his first year on the circuit. It's kind of easy to forget that with the success that he's had already, having won a boulder and a lead World Cup. Yeah, really impressive.
It is. Laura swings around. Now she gets the rest in and looks comfortable in that position. And Toby will, I think, be pretty happy to say goodbye to that section, climbing himself into the semi-final, but creeping that hand up.
Only just hitting that. God, he made it. He was really sucked in, so his hips were right underneath that purple volume, which is why he had to inch his hand up. But very smart not to go dynamically, very smart to take his time, and then he's able to recover a little bit here.
He's another one with a very aggressive shakeout method. He really goes for that shake.
I mean, it makes sense, right?
Absolutely, yeah. And he's twisting and rotating through, and he's nearing the big balls as well. And Laura looking good on the right.
Yeah, Laura looking good. She's got that thumb catch. She's readjusted to the crimp, actually. I think if anyone can make that crimp work instead of a thumb catch, it's going to be Laura.
Right, big bump out, sticks it, cuts loose for a sec, but brings the left foot quickly in.
Yeah, flicks that left foot out really crucial that that hit in the right place. Toby making really good progress here. He's on that jib, he's figuring out his own way. Everyone needs to figure out their own way through that section. But he looks like he's going to be climbing himself into a final spot here. I hope he is. Getting that clip, really smart that he's not forgotten that.
Yeah, and he hooked it over his leg in a clever position.
Lara looking smooth on that cross through as well. Both climbers doing incredibly well.
She checks the time, but she looks comfortable.
It's hard not to cheer right here. I want to be shouting for Toby. Not being biased. And Lara, of course.
Of course.
But Lara, again, so smooth here. Just resting, like Jessie, where others have fallen.
Yeah, she's being a bit quicker now, though, having to work. And this is a big move. Pops up, gets it with the left shoulder. And this is where Jessie slipped, trying to get a high right foot. And Laura is slipping as well, and she falls on the shoulder.
She falls. I do think she was going for the right sequence, and I do think that is going to be enough for her to see her in the final. She looked frustrated that she wasn't able to stick that, a little bit confused. She's looking straight up at the results, trying to figure it out. She knows she's made it. She's happy. All eyes on Toby now, though.
Good work from Laura. Come on, Toby. His left foot on the jib, on the no-tech surface of that blue ball. He's up in second position. That'll be a finals place for him as well. And what can Toby do here? Adam fell near this point.
Adam hit this next hold. He fell going to the next hold, so he had 39 plus. Toby's on 39 right now. We see him hit 40. I'm not sure if he's held it. I think he's held it now. Okay, good work from Toby. He'll be in top spot right now. That will be a finals position.
He's got a horribly awkward clip, and he decided against it. He started bringing the hand through to make it change the body position.
Really mature climbing. To be able to make decisions like that in that moment on the head wall, all the crowd going wild. He's bumped, he's tired, but he's still climbing with really intelligently.
Yeah, look at this fight from Toby. Stands up, shakes up. This is a new high point for him. 40 is his score now. And just one more clip to go before the top. He'll want another shakeout. It's a physical section to come. Feet on the left on those black volumes. He could be in trouble here. Just 2 fingers there on the lip of that
looking
dish.
pumped. He's just looking down to check the time. Really strong climbing. He's getting way over onto his right foot. He's on 42 now. Can we see him get 43?
Oh, the lock-off strength needed. Can't quite get it. That's 43. That's more than enough for Toby. Oh, all right. Well, Team GB celebrates.
Great to see the Paul Hagogi in the background there. Huffy, he's the physio, smiling away. Very chuffed with that, making sure all the athletes are keeping them together as they go through this round. Or they go through this competition, not just this round.
Yeah, and Toby looks up at that giant scoreboard as well to make sure he's in. The letters slowly come up. There's Toby.
Hey.
Right, well, last couple of athletes to go. Just 4 remaining. Stasha Lehmann, Sam Avazu, Jakob Schubert, and Serato and Raku as we watch Laura here. Yeah, feet all over the place, but she was powering out on the shoulders.
Yeah, a really tricky foot section, it looks like there. I think they want to get their foot nice and high, but coming back to Toby here, reaching up to that little crimp. He's been awarded 43. I imagine he'll get 43 plus. Yeah, he does. And that's because he hit the hold 42, matched in, so that hold gets 2 points, I believe. But wow, what a fight from Toby. He has this ability to unlock something special on the wall, and let us look at the head wall for the second time after Adam, and how cool to see Adam and Toby competing alongside each other. 12-year age difference. Yeah.
Really cool to see. Now, Sasha Lehmann from Switzerland gets a huge reaction, and it's going to be interesting to see which Sasha is here on the day. It can go either way for him.
It's a really great point. Sasha has had some of the most memorable and impressive climbs in competition, but he also is known to falter and make mistakes. He's at his home World Championships. This one is the moment to perform. The pressure is on. The crowd want to see it. I hope he can keep it together. And like you say, I hope we see the best Sasha that he's able to give us on the wall today.
Yeah, and then Brooke Rabatou on the right. She was another one climbing last night. Did well there. So hopefully she's got some energy and skin back.
Brooke, always a really fun climber to watch. She just has an ability to enter a flow state that, you know, so many climbers strive to figure out how to get there. She's worked hard to do that, and it's something that is really beautiful to witness. When Brooke is in her flow and in her happy place, there's not a lot that can stop her.
No, absolutely. Let's see She's got something here today, and she always finds wonderful positions to rest in. She's not one of those that route setters always try to eliminate those double heels and high heels because she can find them out of nowhere.
She can. She's really flexible. She's really strong through all of her range of motion, something that it's not just about being flexible. Climbers think about flexibility, but it's all about mobility and being able to use that flexibility as well. Brooke can give anyone a lesson in that. She's really, really good at thinking of unique vita. I love climbing outside with Brooke, actually, because she always thinks outside the box, always does something differently. And you see that in her competition climbing too, when she needs to. One of the shorter climbers, often she has to think outside the box.
Yeah, she finds her ways through it. Well, Sasha at the moment is looking solid, but let's not predict anything yet from him. Let's see what happens. Needs that clip in early, which he gets. Good. And now Brooke rocks up towards the left crimp, and she'll come up underneath.
Sasha looking solid, but making a lot of very subtle adjustments with his feet. You can kind of see them like jittering around a little bit. I hope he can settle into himself more. You know, you can almost see the nerves. Totally understandable, but I think nerves are actually a really good thing if you can use them. You know, if you weren't nervous, why are you here?
Yeah.
And if you're not nervous at your home World Championships, then I don't know what you're doing. But the crowd are going to be behind him. He's going to be wanting to give a good performance. Looking solid so far.
Yeah, he is. He had a bit of a moment where he almost lost his hands there. Oh, but Sasha goes.
He went so aggressive into that movement. He threw to that hold as if it was a really good hold. It isn't. It's hard to see that from the ground. We saw Toby going incredibly slow and static, almost dropping it, needing to really fight for it. Sasha there, going more dynamically. It just isn't going to work on that move, unfortunately, and it's sad to see Sasha fall at that point. The crowd wanted a big show, but unfortunately not going to get it today.
No, so unlucky from Sasha. He will go away and we'll have to reset things. And Brooke, meanwhile, is looking calm here. So she has the right hand in, matches on the dish. She's got those heels. Look at those legs. Bruises from previous boulder competitions. These athletes really working hard. I mean, you said having a shower after some of these comps is a nasty experience.
It's not a fun experience. Sasha, ahead of this round, was sat in 9th in the lead in boulder. So hopefully that will be enough. I expect it will be. We should be seeing him in that event to come next week.
Brilliant. All right. Well, Brooke Rabatu is resting in a good position there. She's found something. Elbows going up slightly though on the right. Maybe some tiredness kicking in.
So with Brooke, she had a great boulder round. She was climbing in boulder finals last night. She'll want to be in this lead finals too. She loves climbing. She wants to be there. Nice. Really strong from Brooke through that move. Her shoulders looking absolutely solid.
Yeah, so we get to focus on Brooke after that Sasha fall. She's in 8th at the moment, 33, and looking good as she shakes out.
Yeah, shaking out on moves where others have fallen.
Yeah, the split position, checks the clock, and does get a bit of a jog on here.
Yeah, she looked down, and she's still opting to rest though, so she must have enough time to kind of stay composed. Brooke's a really powerful climber, really good with her shoulders. If she can get her foot placement right, I think we'll see her get through this section. We do. She hits that hold really well. Crossing to the next hold. There's a bit of an edge on some of these holds, so she is able to keep fighting through. They're kind of biting onto her fingers a little bit here. And our first look at this higher yellow section.
Brilliant. Well, a new bit of wall for us to talk about, which is good. She's still below that head wall, that metal coping there, the line separating the 40 degrees from the 15-degree angles.
And an athlete that I think will be really happy to have come out to a hard route. These girls, they want to see hard routes. As to the guys, they want to be fighting, they want to be pushed.
Yeah, and she drops that knee down, bumps up to the crib. How are you holding that after all that climbing? She'll go back to chalk up. Looks better on the crimp that time.
Yeah, so through to that hold, just hit it, but then came back down and chalked up. Really awkward clip from her there. You can see her fingers, perfect display of finger strength there. Her tiny half pad edge, throwing into that next move hold. Oh, and we lose her with a foot slip. Such a shame to come up with a foot slip. She knows that was enough though. The crowd are telling her as well. Big smile from her. She looks tired though, and I'm not surprised. But no doubt she'll be able to get a good recovery, and now hopefully she comes to the Adidas Terex Athlete Hub so I can give her a big hug and say congratulations.
Yeah, feed her protein bars for sure. Well, Brooke gets the new high point, 44 plus is her score. And she will be in the finals tonight. Nearing the end of our comp now, Descenso, Aimori, Janja Gambret to come for the women. Sam Avazu, Jakob Schubert, and Serato and Raku for the men. Last 3. And then we will for sure know our finals places. But as we've been saying all the way through, appeals come through. Appeals have been coming through. Jess's score was appeal and upgraded just now. I didn't mention it, and this is Sasha's jump. Yeah, really aggressive up to that and couldn't hold the jib.
Yeah, such an unfortunate ending for him, because I don't know if that will be enough. Maybe it will be. He was in 9th in the boulder and lead combined results, so fingers crossed for him that he's able to make it through to that next event.
And it's tricky for Sasha. If anyone remembers back to Moscow, where he came so close to qualifying, it was up and down, and his face after he didn't get through was just heartbreaking. So another world champs.
He does seem like one of the athletes who's been through a lot of maybes, a lot of what ifs. You know, he's been so close so many times to winning or to qualifying. Yeah, it's a hard place to be.
It is indeed.
But so good that he's still here, he's still fighting. He knows it's possible for him. He's just got to keep pushing.
Yeah. Yeah, climbing, very, very emotional. I think I felt it more in the commentary box over the last couple of years than ever before. It's just everything, and watching people try hard is incredible. Well, you climbed with this man's mum in a final, as you were saying.
Which blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah, Sam Avazu on the left, Shenso on the left from Korea. Shenso was...
That was in 2012.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that wow made it sound like I was calling you old. Of course not, but it's
fine. It's fine.
It just shows how experienced you are. Yeah, Shenso is become a real role model in Korea. People literally line up to get her autographs. She's always quite shocked by how popular she is, but she's become a sort of a statesman of the climbing scene, and it's good to see her out there.
Yeah, and really nice to see her relationship with Jaehyun as well. They are so supportive of each other. Jaehyun has had some hard comps recently. She's had some unfortunate mistakes that she's made. She's going to be making sure that she's clipping all of these quick draws, because she missed a quick draw in a round recently, and then at the next competition had a big slip on one of the crux moves. Not something we're familiar with seeing, so she's going to be here for redemption. A slip there, but saves it. She needs to get into the flow that we're used to seeing, but yeah, coming off the back of 2 hard comps, it's going to be interesting to see how she composes herself on the wall.
Yeah, the athlete's working through adversity sometimes. Sam Avazu gets the high double clip in there, reaches above his head, so he's sorted the clips for the next section.
Both of these athletes seeming like they're pretty safe for the leader and boulder event that's to come. Sam Avazu sitting in 2nd after the boulder, and Jaehyun So sitting in 9th. So wanting to put a good performance in here, both focused on the task at hand on this event. I imagine they aren't thinking about the lead and boulder right now. They are thinking about this lead route that they're on right now. Both wanting a final spot, having experienced finals before, regulars on the circuit this year, and both winning medals.
Sam, well, I was about to say he looked really strong, and he was locking off his arms, but he totally lost the heel as he did that move. Shan as well is hanging.
I expect that will have zapped his right arm quite a bit. But
there we go.
Left arm slipped. That wasn't his right arm. That was his left arm just pinged out of that hold. Potentially slipped if he's sweating out there. I imagine it's not a dry fire because it's quite warm in here today. But yeah, another unfortunate slip.
Yeah, early falls. This men's route has a sting at the bottom. So we stick with Shanso as she rests, but not really much for her feet. She's improved her bouldering in the last couple of years and has become a very good boulderer, which she needed to do.
Seeing her in finals in boulder this year, which is really great.
Yeah, works on that dynamic style as well. Read the route with Janja, so it's going to be interesting to see if they do similar things. How's that left toe out? Looking composed.
She looks focused, she looks determined. It's definitely not a route that you can relax on, I don't think. The climbers can relax in their face, but at no point are there really super comfortable positions.
I can hear the encouragement
you
there.
You can hear it, right? There's so much support for Jaehyun.
Yeah, she's a lovely person and such a good climber. All right, well, she's...
And always has a great bow in her hair.
That's very true, yeah. And as I said, the Youth World Champs coming up after this will be in Korea, so it's exciting. Crosses through into the pockets. And this is really probably the best resting position. Once you've got that pocket, if you can get it, that bridging position allows, but she's not hanging around for long.
She's not, no, she doesn't look like she needs to so much. She's seeming quite composed still. You say it's a good resting position. Some athletes
well, that was big. So she went up, dropped down, almost caught it in the pocket, and then fell a second time. But she's in fourth, joint fourth at the moment, according to that score on screen.
Joint fourth at the moment with 2 athletes to go. But again, a surprising slip from her. It's kind of, I hope she's managed just to figure out and connect the dots with what's going on with her climbing right now, because this is not something we ever saw ahead of these last few comps. So it's unfortunate for her. But again, with Sam, we're seeing there a big slip. I wonder if the temperatures changed, maybe the holds have changed a little bit. She was really extended there. It's her foot pop, so her right foot went actually, but not the wisest position for her to be in there. She was really extended, having to put a lot of pressure through that right foot. Wasn't able to because all of her weight was in her left at that point. So an unfortunate kind of choice in decision making as opposed to an unfortunate slip, but hopefully enough for a final position. It seems like it should be, and I expect she'll be wanting to kind of showcase a lot more and maybe even be a bit fresher than had she managed to continue climbing.
Yes, exactly. I should reset psychologically, maybe. She almost caught it back on the pocket. All right, Jakob Schubert, penultimate athlete out for the men, and then Mori on the right for the women. And she had a, you know, we were saying yesterday that she came 6th in the boulder and people are like, oh, she came last. But, you know, she's beaten most of the world to get to that
100
point.
people.
Yeah,
There were
100
women that
Exactly.
entered the boulder round and she came 6th. Yeah, she didn't have the boulder round, the boulder final that I think she would have wanted. There are a lot of moves that challenged her weaknesses. I know she's been working on her weaknesses, but for sure you could see that she was definitely behind the pack in boulder, which was represented by where she finished. Lead is her preferred discipline, so you know I think she's going to be wanting to showcase a better performance here today, but making a World Championships boulder final is an incredible feat, and I do hope she's able to see that.
Yeah, me too. One of those ones who relies on that endurance, and she does unique ways, a bit like Laura does, to figure out sequences that move away from her weaknesses. And Jakob, well, he just performs on the biggest of stages, this man, and had a good semi-final round, good boulder round as well. And like Adam did, I mean, they read it in a very similar way. He immediately gets that knee locked in.
And qualifying first in his group, so both of these athletes are now the top qualifiers in their group. With 2 groups, we have 2 first place coming from the qualification round. So yeah, Jakob and I both winning their qualification groups. Jakob, he just keeps showing up. Like you say, he knows how to turn it up for the big events. He seems to have this extra like beast mode that he can unlock at times and climbs really, really well. He's such a fun climber to watch. He's so insanely strong, but really impressive with the way he moves and what he knows his body so well. Like what he does on the wall is exactly what is best for him in that moment.
Indeed. He's using all of that shoulder strength to make those moves, confidently gets the feet drilled in, and Mori as well, no problems so far from her.
One of the most experienced athletes out there, Jakob, and I also. She's done a fair number of comps now. She's a young athlete, but she is gaining more and more experience. We've seen her in many, many World Cup finals in lead. So yeah, she's going to be familiar with being on this stage. She's not going to be distracted by all of the noise. She'll be able to really focus on the climbing for both of these athletes, I think.
All right, but Jakob is nearing the scary part of this route. We've seen lots of slips around here. Makes the clip, has the foot, but this hand swap is awkward. Needs to match where his foot is, and you can see just cuts loose for a sec, but holds it with the lock off.
Cuts loose, and at one point was just hanging on one arm on that yellow volcano style hold. Insanely impressive strength. Crosses through really smoothly there, much different to the athletes we've seen where we've lost them.
I'm
Looking
watching that.
solid in the hand placement, solid in the foot placement. I don't think we'll see Jakob fire off. He knows his body so well and what he's capable of. He's looking really, really good right now.
He is wresting his way through. I had my eyes focused on his left hand, but he made it work. And I as well in that stand back position. Using her core, and Jakob is into these big balls.
Great from I there. She didn't hesitate for too long on that campus move in. She's just campusing around currently, not even with her hand in the volcano, choosing to rest and chalk up on the crimp, left hand up to the pocket. We know that this can work, so not too much of a worry right now. She also might opt to match, which I often does. Big stab for her into the pocket there, though. Very risky.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, she's good at matching. And Jakob, clever shake-out position there.
Yeah, I think he's got a little knee bar tucked in, maybe a knee scum as opposed to like a comfortable knee bar. He's definitely not going to be taking his hands off in that position. But it looks like we're going to see a good fight from him on the head wall too. Yeah,
here we go. He needs to make this clip, which he hasn't made yet. So is that an indication he's pumped? Maybe he's getting into a better position.
No, I think he's getting into a better position. But he is continuing to climb. So yeah, maybe you're right. He does look pumped right now.
Oh, now, yeah, that's awkward, that position 2 clip. And he's fiddling with it. It's swinging. He hasn't got it in.
I think maybe he knew that was enough. We didn't see the Jakob that we're used to seeing when he fights. He looked tired. I'm surprised he wasn't able to get that clip in because he was really straight-armed, but he knows his body so well. He is really, really in tune with what he's capable of. So I'm guessing he knew he was in at that point. We didn't see a big raw fight. We often see a bit of like emotion, a bit of screaming, a bit of intensity from Jakob. We didn't see that right there. But we do see Ai heading towards the high point, making light work of this crux section that spat off other athletes and just turning to check the time as she's clipping.
She's clipping, exactly. Multitasking up there on the wall. All right, well, she's nearing the end of this overhanging section, still looking like she's got something in the tank to give. Out with the right foot, drills it into that foothold, and now crosses through. And it's such a horrible set of holds through here.
Yeah, really, really tiny crimps. You can see she's having to fight so hard. I loves the crimp, but she doesn't look comfortable up there. We saw Brooke have to really throw it in its next hold. This teeny, tiny black crimp on the yellow. I getting a drop knee and making it really static. Great work from her, and really cool to see another athlete up on this head wall.
Yeah, the crowd roar her on. Brooke dropped down at this point to shake up. Ai continues.
I heard some subtle beeps in the background. I'm not sure if that was the time ticking down. We're yet to see.
Well, she's on the high point. 45 means she's in #1 spot. Gets a high right foot. Awkward clip from her. And she's choosing not to. I think she's running out of steam here a little bit, or maybe adjusting. We'll see. No, she isn't. Bites the rope in order to get it into the right position.
Look at her fight. She's got so much tension going through her feet right now. Her hips are really close into the wall. She's turning her knees to get as much weight through possible, utilizing absolutely everything her body is giving her.
What a fight. Now this section is complicated. The jibs are there. She spots the first one.
The score's still updating, so she's still in time right now. So yeah, the crowd are loving this, and so are we as she nails the last move.
Yeah, there's a big mantle to come if she can get there, but right now she needs to go towards the right. There's a yellow jib underneath she needs to pop for, gets it, thumb in.
I keep thinking we're going to lose her, but her fight is absolutely amazing. This is such impressive climbing from Ai. Still being able to go static to that hold, that cross through, so impressive for her.
Right, she needs to ninja kick the left foot up, which she does. Now this rocket pushing mantle upwards towards the top hold. It's not a dyno, it's one of those moves. She's almost lying up there on the wall.
She needs to start pushing down, really engaging the triceps. Oh, unfortunate to lose her there. I expect the time was ticking down too. Amazing effort from her.
Well, that is guaranteed finals, of course.
And the crowd letting her know just how much that meant.
Really cool. Everyone's standing on their feet. She almost rolled out of that position back down towards the ground. And I think she was indicating that she had run out of time, and the judge just telling her that. It's hard. They do tell you when you run out of time, but it's hard to hear when you're up there, especially when you're trying that hard.
It is, and I do think sometimes athletes just don't want to let go. They want to keep climbing regardless. So she gets a score of 52, which is the high point, regardless of her running out of time. What happens is they will score her at the point that her time stopped, despite the fact that she kept climbing. I wonder if she maybe knew she'd run out of time. It looked like when she was rolling into that mantle, maybe she could have given it a bit more. Wise not to. If her time's run out, she's not going to gain any extra points, and she's got another round to go later. You can see here she's twisting her hip and rolling it in. I think if we see Janja get up there, she'll rock her weight up onto the left to give her space to turn her hands. So I wasn't in the right body position to make that work there, unfortunately, but not too unfortunate because she's in first place right now.
She is. We will see her tonight. Right, Janja climbed last night. She did okay. Let's see what she can do on this lead wall here on the right.
And our last two athletes already.
I know. It's been a big semi-final. Coming up to 20-1 here in Bern. And Sarato Anraku from Japan
Serato has made friends with my daughter, and they are best pals. They've been doing animal noises together. It's very, very sweet. He walked past her yesterday and was like, "Hey, Frankie," waving around.
Aww.
He's a very sweet boy. Yanya, also good friends with Frankie, my daughter too. Go Yanya is currently Frankie's favourite thing to say. It's the only name she's got dialed for the competition, but what one to have.
She'll learn others.
Yeah, does she need others? It's
No,
Yanya.
that's true, it is Yanya Gambret. All right, and Yanya, yeah, she was climbing last night. Let's hope she's got something back. As you were saying, her eyes
Something back.
Something back.
She didn't really need much last night. I don't think she needed to get anything back. She barely warmed up, it seemed.
That's a good point, yeah. She climbed a lot of the boulders very quickly.
Are we allowed to give spoilers
I
away?
want
I feel
to
like we
so
have.
much. I think it's ridiculous. Listen, tonight we're giving it away, okay? For semi-finals, we'll leave it in case some people had to work late. But finals, yes, we will be saying who won.
I'll try really hard not to, but that girl is not going to be tired.
No, it was a quick set of boulders for her. Right, Serato on the left, and he's got this composure when he lead climbs. And again, you never quite know when he's going to fall because he always seems calm and within himself.
He is such an impressive athlete. At only 16, he's come onto the circuit this year. He's won a Boulder World Cup. He's won a Lead World Cup. He competed in Boulder finals like a couple of days back. Just it seems like there's no stopping him.
Yeah, exactly. And he's come out of nowhere. I mean, we interviewed him at the beginning of the season because he was one to watch. And of course, within that Japanese team, you never know who is really coming through. But he has just been incredible.
Incredible, yes. And we did see him falter a little bit in the Boulder final, kind of to everyone's surprise, maybe. But still learning so much. And he does climb very maturely, I would say. He's an instinctive climber, but he also is able to absorb the information from around him and make corrections. We've seen that in Boulder. In semi-finals, there was a great display of him learning with each attempt and making progress into eventually topping the boulder. To do that out on the mats at 16 years old is so very impressive. And now to see him on the lead route, you know, we say about lead and boulder specialists sometimes, but it's starting to change with the younger athletes, especially those who are focusing on the Olympics. You can't be a lead or boulder specialist. You have to be tipped up at both.
He can, but he is in a bit of a tricky situation. He's missed the clip, and he had a weird body position. He was like smearing onto the no-tech instead of getting his foot in.
But he's gone back really quickly. So before he's dropped down, he has got a toe hook in a really precarious position. He's opted to go back again. It's so unfortunate that he's missed this. Yeah,
he could be in trouble here. We haven't seen anyone recover from this mistake, and he's continuing. So problems for Serato. He is in trouble here. Yanya cuts loose. Serato, I mean, he's going to have to go back. He cuts loose. Surely he's going to go. No. I mean, look, even if he gets this in, he's going to be tired here, and I don't think he can.
Oh, what a fight, though. Impressive that he's able to recover somewhat, and then hopefully we can see him keep climbing. A really unfortunate mistake.
Yeah, he's the only one to have made it, though, so maybe he can find something.
He is, and also not a mistake that I think is due to his age or his inexperience. We've seen many athletes do that, very experienced ones. We haven't mentioned Yanya yet. She's heading towards one of the cruxes. Not that it looks like a crux for her. I feel like we can just wait until she gets up high onto the head wall and then chat about Yanya, because the fact that Serato is able to keep on climbing here is unbelievable. One of the most impressive moments of this semi-finals yet, the fact that he's recovered from that.
If he can get into a finals, he does slip there. Right, we're going to check the scores and let you know. We'll stick with Yanya now.
So Serato is currently in 7th. We'll see if that sticks. It looks like he's in a finals position. I think he's going to be so disappointed with that climb. You know, it was just a little mistake, but the fact that he was able to recover and potentially make it into a final spot, looks like he is. He's going to be climbing with vengeance later.
He is. Well, hopefully he can get in. We'll wait for those appeals and everything to be finished. Okay, Yanya Gambret, let's see what she can do. She's in the pocket, she's in the resting position, and it all gets a bit shouldery from here on, this tight compression move coming up.
Seems like there's another appeal in the men's. We'll see if that changes. Currently we have 3 athletes tied in 8th spot, so it could be quite a big final. If athletes are tied in that 8th spot, we'll see all of those athletes join the finals.
Yeah, Dohyun Lee is the one under appeal. Yanya fighting. Yeah, Dohyun's claimed that he's got 29 instead of 29 plus, that someone's looking to downgrade his score.
So Janja already in the finals now. We will see, I believe, 9 women in the finals with 2 women in that joint 8th spot. Naka making it to finals in lead after a really disappointing round. But yeah, focus back to Janja because she's the one on our screens. Let's see what she can do on this route. She is in the finals right now, but this girl doesn't want to qualify in 3rd for the finals. She wants that top spot.
She does. She loves climbing last.
She loves climbing on hard routes, so I think she's going to be happy with this one. I think she's going to be happy that it's making her fight, or at least I hope it does make her fight.
Yeah, climbing faster than I did as well, so hopefully time won't be as big a factor.
Time rarely a factor for Janja. She's a fast climber, but you saw there she had to really chuck over to that hold. Looks like she's fighting here. It's nice to see.
Yeah, and I had a really awkward moment on this draw to clip it, and she's gone quite a long way past it.
She has. I think we'll see her try to reverse in order to get it in, but good to see Janja having to work hard.
It is. Thumb is in. I don't think she quite get this position.
I haven't seen Janja in this position for a long time. Elbows up, leaning into those hips in order to try and get something back. What she was trying to do there is she's putting all her body weight onto her left arm to try and recover her right arm. So when she goes back to make the clip, she's got enough gas to do it. I'm not sure she's going to make this work. If anyone can, it's Janja.
Yeah, she made an outrageous clip earlier on in the season. I said to her, it was the hardest clip I've ever seen. She said, yeah, it was in Innsbruck. And she was like, yeah, that clip was the crux for me. So
for Janja here, it's not that she's forgotten to clip. It looked like that she wasn't able to clip.
I think she's going to go.
She out of time maybe there. She looked down. It looked like maybe that was it. Or something had happened.
Yeah.
I assume it was the clock. But yeah, not the spot we'd expect Janja in. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see her fight until the bitter end.
No. Well, she says goodbye. And we will wait for the scores. Remember, they are provisional at this point, so we will let you know the scores as we see it at this moment, but it might change in the next couple of minutes after the comp finishes.
We saw Janja fight there. We saw Janja fight, and she was really trying to get something back. She was trying to recover. She was moving her body around in all these weird positions. It's fun to see her have to work hard.
It is. It's
Hats
good.
off to the route setters.
Exactly. I think they did a good job, to be honest. It was exciting routes, complicated for the women, savage for the men. And we will wait for these scores. Let's see. This is Serato. What a recovery from that mistake. And we think at the moment he is in the final. So an incredible comeback from him. And then Janja, this was the moment. Struggled with the clip, couldn't work it out. We think got run out of time here because she turned, looked down, and then dropped off.
I'm not sure if she did miss the clip when she was lower down. It looked like she had to fight and keep climbing, and she was waiting to get a better hold. And then as she hit each hold, almost a moment of surprise that it wasn't good enough to stop and clip, that she had to keep climbing. I think, yeah, unfortunate that we didn't get to see her fighting. It does look like she timed out. So the climbers get 6 minutes. If their time's up, they don't get awarded any more points. There's no point in keeping climbing. Especially with another round to come, and I imagine she knew that that was enough for a final spot.
Absolutely. Well, those are the scores as they stand. I'm already getting the high point with 52. We just saw a Janja Gambret after that, but Rabatu, 44 plus. Molly Thompson-Smith, good to see her in a final, 37 plus. Same score as Laura Rogerat on 37 plus. Jessie Pilz-Shanso, Meer Krampl, Miho Nanaka, Vita Lucan after that. And I'm getting lots of messages about appeals and stuff, but we will leave that for now because there will be a few coming through. And Dohyun Lee's score has been rejected, so he stays at 29 plus. That was the appeal. Oriane Berton, 34 plus. As we move down, Team France heavily represented in this semi-final. Disappointment for Jae Kim, who's in 13th. Annie Sanders as well had a few moments along the way. And Nonoha Kume as well, as we approach the 20th spot. And our table will flick over. Down at the bottom, Martina Demmel had a good season, couldn't do it today though. Gejo had a slightly disappointing session. Stasha Gejo after that. Milan Moroni, Sarah Chopper and Mattea Pötzi. That is the women's scores. We'll wait to see the men's. And for the men, top spot, Toby Roberts. Well, he needed to bounce back, and boy, did he. 43 plus is his high point, followed by Adam Ondra with 39 plus, Jakob Schubert, Alex Megos, Aoyori Kuza, Yuchan Song, Sarasan Roku, Dohyun Lee, Sean Bailey, Paul Gemft. So we will wait for the judges and mathematicians to work all that stuff out and the appeals to filter through. Mejdi Schalck in 11th, good performance from him, that should be enough. Sasha Lehmann, we said, would he turn up, would he not? Had an early slip off and an aggressive move, so it'd be a shame not to see him in tonight's finals just for the sake of the crowd. As we go down, Sean McCall, what a recovery from him from that shoulder surgery, getting better and better at every competition. Stefano Ghisolfi, he missed a clip just above him. Jesse Gruper had a slightly disappointing round with a score of 24. He's down in 19th position. Lots of draws, as you can see, lots of cruxy sections. Down at the bottom, Yoshiyuki Ogata, he took the biggest and nastiest fall of the day after a foot slip down low. Alberto Hines Lopez can't get into a final, unfortunate for him. And Johannes Utelli as well, and Nino Grunfelder, part of that team Switzerland who were cheered on. Shauna, we will be back this evening, won't we?
We will, and as the results stand, obviously subject to appeals, it looks like we could have a 10-man final, whereas normally it would be 8, and a 9-women final, whereas normally it would be 8, because there are ties in the 8th spot, which is very rare to see, actually. So to have it in both the men and the women, it just means we get to watch more climbing.
Exactly. Well, that is to come this evening. Join myself and Shauna Coxey for all of the action later on. Have a wonderful afternoon if you're watching, and we will see you soon.